Kalenjin ibwatene Imwoe Nee Chitab Kalenjin ilele nenye Igere Nee Chitab Kalenjin ibwatene Imwoe Nee Chitab Kalenjin ilele nenye Ugezi so Chitab Kalenjin unengengi Botingengi onime mwawe yenaitul Kongo mengen kwanime teba tige mwaun Igere Nee Chitab Kalenjin ibwatenenye Igere Nee Chitab Kalenjin ibwatene Imwoe Nee Chitab Kalenjin ilele nenye Chitab Kalenjin kochelewan Neni nyoru Chitab Kalenjin kororyote Itebelega imilene kwatindoni Kotoi kolega imilangi nekimwachi Kikimwae en wikit konye kororira Nyingonamge Chitab Kalenjin ak kasarta Chechito Chitab Kalenjin emwaura Uyemile labati yemen matonone Kongoi Chitab Kalenjin kou tiendo yemwoe kemoche ketachin eng tetutiet nyo nebo tos igere nee Chitab Kalenjin nito kemite episode number 69 eng betutab rani koking'etye anan king'etye kebeberta nebo Washington Seattle ak kebendi rani ako olimbo Melbourne Australia kokimite wikit konye kokimite kebeberta nimbo Washington Seattle ole kikinyoru chepkametinyo Linda ko betutab rani ko agere tonyo kakoit so kimite kebeberta nebo Melbourne Australia so otokotin tugul eng tokwek cheomi kimeche ketachak eng tetutiet nebo betutab rani kelechino karibu mutai Kili mongen ale kale mite Doha Qatar kelechinin karibu kakekerin Lauresho Faith komite kebebertab Nairobi Meshak Kipruto komite olimbo Qatar kitochok tugul eng tokwek cheomite Urani ko makitinye inendet Osea Kibrono kosubkei ak amuneisiek chemaimukak oye korom ng'alekab tungwek eng kebeberwek chumbo kebeberin lakini ngano kochomegei akosubech ko kilechino karibuni makitinye kora betutab rani komamite inendet kora chepkametinyo Engineer Janet ko iye maimukak eng amuneisiek chemaimukak kora kosubkei ak tungwek ak banda ko kelejinok abwoti ale isubech kora ko nekata Osea Kibrono kebendi anan keyoe kasi rani ak inendet Manuela Kemboi komite kebeberta nimbo Nairobi anan Eldoret the City of Champions kelejinin karibu Manuela eng tetutienyo nebo 69 kimeche kemwa kongoi ngakwek tugul cheosubech kakerin Matthew Nyamlori komite kebebertab Nairobi Roda Ruta Kemboi komite mongen ale mnyeno Eldoret kale mite Eldoret kelejinin karibu Kenneth Bungei kosubech kobun Poland oye kongoi Chitab Poland agerin inyendet Evans Keitany komite olimbo Nagoya City olimbo Japan kelejino karibu eng tetutienyo episode number 69 mongen ale une ngoloi mitei Manuela kimeche kele karibu asikobit ikat biik asiketau tetutiet eng komalo karibu Manuela
Kongoi missing Balozi Peter Rono eng tetutienitani neindoi tetutietab Igere Nee Chitab Kalenjin notok nekiko cherbiikab Kalenjin ko eng kainaik ko Manuela Kemboi kongete county number 027 Uasin Gishu County eng Eldoret kokakomwa Balozi kole City of Champions ko yuto yu kemi age tesetai kesoma ko kochesubeny keberta noto nebo Facebook kelejin akotokating tugul keberta nebo YouTube kemite live kora sikobit ketestai ak episode number 69.
Kongoi nye Manuela ko kimeche kibwatwok akobo kibagenge noto bo Optiven noto mite kebebertab Nairobi neimuktoiwech sikobit keityok atkan kora kemeche kemwa kongoi eng kibagenge noto ngimi sang anan imi sangutab Kenya, imite Kenya, imite oleb America, ole tugul simosirgei ak tilyanutik eng olimbo gaa kelechinin boisie Optiven sikobit inyorchigei koret imukoksei malipo ya polepole kokeng'ololji biik ng'ololji Dori Chelangat eng kebebertab Nairobi sikotoretin ak biikab kebeberatak. Kongoi CEO nebo Optiven kikosenogei kimwowo kora kelechino kongoi Thermolife notok imuchi inyorchigei chaik chebunu olimbo gaa bunu Nandi Hills olimbo Kericho kimuchi inyorchigei chaik sikiyokun ako kibwotun kora akobo Ndonyo Mart notok kampunit neindochin CEO notok Janet Chepkogei ko kounotok kemwoe kongoi koskei Shakati ole mite olimbo Nandi, Josephine Langat kosubech kobun Australia, Caroline Chepkemoi Cheps isubech kobun Nairobi. Kilechino karibuni nyinyi nyote sirwe kityo ile isubechi imyeno ing'o ak isubechi imyeno kelechino karibu. Kitinye rani ng'oliot netinyegei ak mental health, kitinye an expert nemite lainitan sikobit komwoiwech kole ng'oliondoni kikure mental health ko ne? Kile kikure kerermetiet eng olimbo gaa kerermetiet, so kereri met chito cho aeng telen ikas ile kikwo chito koit mwisho anan ko kakoit ngoimenit emet anan kolya anan koib sobet chito kokochang'a ng'alek cheu chu. So kimeche sikokenai kimong'u kele oyie kiyoe ne yeit ng'oliot neu ni, makat iyai ne, makat ing'ololji ng'o, makat ilya sikobit kesoru biik chemang'ering'en. Ikose kora lagok chebo sukul ngap konyor chito C anan konyor C+ tekas kele kakobetegei sobet chito telen ikas kokometo anon len oyie kwabut ako konyor C+ kokwalifian kwo university koib sobenyi. So kimeche kekerte tuguk cheu chu. Kikose kora ngap kobit biik chekakotebi eng yo mi katikati yo kobetegei sobet anan ibete family nenyi sobet atya kobetegei sobet akole oyie kokosindana sobet. So kilyon kokabit ng'alek cheu chu kokongoi chepkametinyo. So kitinye toonyo inendet Sharon Ngetich nekakinyorchi olimbo Melbourne, Australia. Kimeche kityo kokatech kole chamgei asikobit ketou tetutiet komalo. Ko karibu Sharon.
Kongoi for the opportunity. Kongoi missing. Chamgei biikab Kalenjin.
Kongoi nye Sharon Ngetich imite kebeberta nebo Melbourne. Kaokas toonyo kobun kebeberta notok bo Melbourne, Australia. Ko mongen ale isubet ako ikere okot ng'o eng kebeberta ng'ung inyendet Manuela sikobit ketou tetutiet eng betutab rani.
Kongoi missing balozi, kitestai kemwoe kongoi eng episode nito nebo Igere Nee Chitab Kalenjin episode number 69 nekokeitu saishek chep Kenya kong'ete saa ko eng olimbo Australia ko around 10:30 kemboi ko olimbo US ko around saa moja. Eng olimbo Facebook ketestai kosubei agere nekile Vincent Way kale mi Eldoret, kongoi missing. Agere nekile Joylin kong'ete Nandi kale kakotunen in, kongoi missing Joylin. Akatestai agere biik chechang missing chetestai kosubei eng kebeberta noto nebo Facebook. I-liken the page akameche i-share koboto choronok sikobit ketestai kibagenge. Eng YouTube kora i-subscriben ak i-liken the videos all our episodes chekikeibun kong'ete episode netai akoi nguni kemi episode number 69 ak taon notok nenyonet our special guest neng'etune emet notok nebo Melbourne, Australia. Ko ing YouTube igere Nee Chitab Kalenjin sikobit nyeketestai kibagenge. Back to you Balozi.
Kongoi nye Manuela imite kebeberta nebo the City of Champions olimbo Eldoret, Kenya. Ko kitoche ak tugul, so kou kila kemeche kiro kele taoniniton anan nganasanito nebo Melbourne, Australia komite ne? Kemeche keker Australia komugul. So kuye cham kemwoe kelen oyie o emoni o emoni Australia tindo area nebo 7,692 and 24 kilometers square, noto ko kerge ak 2,969,907 square miles. Namba lo eng dunia. Emonito bo Australia kowendi Kenya sabarishek 13, so o emoni kabisa. Population ko mining, tindo population nebo 25 million kenuch tisab, namba 53 eng dunia komugul. So o emet kabisa lakini ngeringen biik 2020 census cho. GDP anan makornatetab emoni ko $1.375 trillion, namba 13 eng dunia. Ngepchei makornatetab emoni koibe okot Sharon, okot Hosea, chitugul koibe 50,844, namba 10 eng ng'ony komugul. Kinyoru independence kobun the British eng kenyitab 1901 January tarik 1. Emetab Australia ko naat kele emetab kangaroo, kinyorchin kangaroo inege emoni, mami olda age. So nginyekebe kebeberta nebo Melbourne ko taonit neo na kararan ne indoito ng'alekab education. Okile kiinvesten kabisa eng education, ng'alekab healthcare, research ak development, infrastructure, tourism, sports. Kikereten komi top 5 sabarishek 5 anan 5 times rated as livable, yani taonit nemuchi kemeny. So kikereten taonini eng dunia konyil 5, kenyishek 5 in a row. Tindoi restaurants chechang kabisa che kororon eng ng'alekab arts, ng'alekab arts eng street komitei. Chang biikab China che kikosetlan eng emonitok, namba 2 nebo biikab Europe. Kingetyo biik Italians akoba kouchi olindok, the Greeks and Italians ko chang kabisa. Ngot komami olimbo Europe ko chechang ko kiba kebeberitak. So taonit na kararan kabisa ole kokinyorchi chepkametinyo. Ko ikere eng let yo taonit nito bo Melbourne, taonit na kararan, ako ngirutochi kebeberitak konyalu iwe anan irutochi kebeberta nito bo Melbourne, Australia. Taonit na kararan, ikere kangaroo ak tukyo tugul cho kororonen. So kokinyorchi chepkametinyo taonit nito bo Melbourne, ngitokchinigei ng'alekab sukul, iwendi chebo kekas investment, ko taonit na kararan ako very welcoming. Kororon hotelishek kabisa ak ng'alekab tourism. So ngirutochi olotok kesomin kele oyie cheng chito biik chemi olotok sinyoru biik, ikere kokochang'a biikab gaa. Shaila Chepkoech kosubech Colin Siegon kolen tuned in, kakerin Lina Limo komi olimbo Kitale kelejinin karibu. Cheruyot Cornelius kobun Kericho kelejinin karibu. Ian Sulu kobun Adelaide kelejinin karibu. Ak akwek tugul kisome kityo kele wui YouTube nenyo, Facebook, atya ilaikan YouTube ak isharean ak isir comment kora amu bo komonut mising isharean sikobit kemite tugul kibagenge. Ko eng betutab rani nekata engineer Janet ak inendet Hosea, kemite ak inendet Hosea ak Manuela kuye kamwoiwok, maimuka kobwa biik chun. Ko nekata inendet Janet awendi atau tetutiet eng yu siketestai kunotok. So Sharon, ole kibendi keoltaneteni ak inendet Manuela, ketebenen tebutik meche kisubun kong'etegei ole kikisikyin akoi ole imite nguno. So kibwoti kele bandang'ung nekisubi ko kemeche kele karibu. Akerin kora Inmax komi kebeberta nebo Nandi, Meshak Koskei, ak akerin Kimutai Festus kale tuned in. Steve Rono ko kale Sharon, akere kende kityo eunek barak, mangen ale miono chicho. Colin Siegon ko kale tuned in. So kongoi eng akwek tugul chekakosubech. Akere chito Iten kora Shaila Chepkoech komite olimbo Iten kelejinin karibu. Lina Limo komi Kitale. Kongoi eng akwek tugul chekosubech, kimeche kityo sharean, likean ak inde comment sikobit ketestai. Ko karibuni. Kibendi ketau tetutiet kou notok ko Sharon kakemwa kele kilejinin boisie lugainik cheielewani, boisie Kalenjin, boisie Kiswahili, boisie na Kingeresa kora amu ara makikelipan sukul ko nyolu kora boisie tugul. Ko ketesetai kouni abwoti ale bikyok chechang koelewani lugaishek choto somok. Agere Age Birech ko kakosubech kobun Sydney kelejin karibu chitab Sydney. Ko kibendi ketou tetutiet ko Sharon, kimeche kityo kenai kele Sharon ko ng'o, kikisikyin ano Sharon, atya isoman primary ano, iwe secondary ano, ak imwochi akobo family, do you have any siblings, ako how was your growing up ing ole kigrowen up. Karibu Sharon.
Asante sana. Kongoi Ambassador Manuel Hosea. So I was born in so my name is Sharon. Kalenjin name Kochepleting. And then my dad's name Ngetich. Firstborn. I have 2 siblings. And I have stepbrothers too. So my 2 siblings are my sister, who is an architect in Nairobi, and who is younger than me. And then I have my brother who is in high school, Form 3, I think. Yeah. So nilizaliwa Kapsabet Hospital. My mom alinizaa akiwa mdogo, around 20 years. So of course mnajua when a parent gives birth to you at that age, your time, it was like a taboo. Should I say a taboo, for lack of a better word? So she went through the whole struggles of trying to raise me up. Olin in Gechek. So I come from Gechek, if you all know. Mosorio tuko ndani, next to kwa family by the name Nelly, the former councillor Nelly Sum. So that's my mom's mother, who is a very special soul. And I was raised by her nikiwa mdogo until I went to Tungururuet. So I think I did my nursery there. I did my nursery there. I can't remember the age where I shifted because my parents were living in Mombasa, Mwembetayari. So my mom came back and took me with her. So at that time nilikuwa najua Kikale fluent, but along the line nikasahau. And I really regret. I wish I ningeendelea kulearn Kikale because in such a platform, and I feel so weird nikiongea Kiingereza ama Kiswahili, and yet you're all talking in Kikale. I feel so left out. So yeah, so I left Tungururuet, went to Mombasa, lived with my parents in Mombasa for some time after my sister was born, and then we moved back to Eldoret. So my primary life, I went to Kipkeino Primary School after we moved from Mombasa, and that was primary, and then moved to St. George's Greenland Grassland, which is in Nakuru, did my KCP there. After my KCP, so when I was raised, let me go back a little bit. So when I was raised, tukiwa Mombasa, I think I stepped on something tukiwa huko, and then this something made my legs. I developed something on my legs, and I couldn't walk. In terms of my legs used to crack, like in a crack, and then it bleeds. So sometimes I would walk on my toes, or not on my toes, sorry, on my knees. And it really affected me growing up, and because I couldn't go out. My sister angeenda kucheza na watoto, but me singeenda because my legs could not allow me. And so I lived with that. So the struggle of that, and so you can imagine the trauma, the vitu yote. So at that time, huwezi jua it was a mental health issue. But then now that I have learned, I can actually reflect back, and I'm like, actually, I went through mental health, which I'm going to talk about. So yeah, So nilizaliwa nayo, niliishi nayo for some time. Went to the doctors in Nairobi, in Nakuru, in Eldoret. Kulikuwa na dawa nilipatiwa, but then it was $20, 20,000 Kenya shillings. At that point, 20,000 Kenya shillings is a lot of money. So you can imagine the struggle where a parent has to buy that. Ilikuwa kadogo. So yeah, so growing up na hiyo, and then of course I used to scratch it, and then it transferred on my palms. So
Sharon, you said you stepped on something. What was it? You don't even know what it is.
Nikiwa kwa ocean, I think that's how my parents told me that nikiwa kwa maji. Unajua ukiwa beach Mombasa, you'd go on the water na nini. I stepped on something when I was there, but sijaijua hadi wa leo what that is. So when we moved, I don't know, but then it healed because one of the doctors in Nairobi aliniambia itaisha when I grow up. But then so for me to be able to walk at night, my mom had to put in a pack hiyo dawa, and then I tie a polythene so that I don't scratch, and so that it doesn't dry up like crack, because if it dries up it cracks, and then it's the whole feet uko chini yake, the whole place mpaka my toes, my my nails, my toenails. So when I grew up, it was really hard to actually go out and play with my friends because miguu haingeniruhusu. And so sometimes it was okay, sometimes it wasn't. Nikiingia shule Kipkeino, it was okay, but still I needed to, in the morning I would make sure nimelala kama imepakwa dawa and then tied, so that the rest of the day when I have my socks on, it's okay, it doesn't dry up. So yeah, I went with that. Na unajua uzuri ya shule, you don't get to remove. I wasn't in boarding school, I was in a day school, so I couldn't remove my socks or whatever. So hakuna mtu angejua what is inside there. But then now the thing is, when I was scratching, the thing transferred to my hands. So when it transferred to my hands, kucheza na watoto shule, you know how we go for PE, you have to hold hands. No one wanted to hold my hands because my hands was painful, like inge crack, and then it was so painful, and it went ahead till my fingernails, so on the inside. So it was really hard for me, and I really struggled with that, where I couldn't. And whenever I went home, I didn't even tell my parents that my friends don't want to hold my hands. So I battled with it by myself. And I used to wonder, why is it me alone and not my siblings, like my sister? And so yeah, so it transferred to my hand, and then I just continued with life. Nikiwa high school, I disappeared. The legs one disappeared. So I don't know, I think because I was told with my age itaisha, so it disappeared, and my legs were okay. So with that I went to St. George's tulikuwa tunachapwa sana. And I remember one time I went through, so when I'm talking about this, I'm actually talking about what I went through that really affected my mental health that I didn't know. So nikifika primary school, St. George's was a good school. I wanted a boarding school, so nikapelekwa huko. So when I went there, tulikuwa tunachapwa sana. And I remember one time it was during visiting day, and I was talking to my friends, and I noticed that my nini was going towards, like, actually it's them who told me, oh Sharon, mbona unafanya some funny faces while you're talking. So little did I know that I'm actually having one side of my face is paralyzed. So uzuri ilikuwa around visiting days, so my parents were there, came, And then my mom akaona, nikamwambia, hey mom, watoto wanasema hivi, what? So they ended up taking me to hospital. And then I was asked, okay, nini nafanya, niko na stress, and I told them it's hiyo kuchapwa. So my parents came back and told the school, wasinichape tena. So I'm glad my parents were able to actually, unajua ingekuwa mzazi mwingine angesema, hey, wewe lazima uchapwe, kiboko ni ya maana. But I'm glad that I had parents who were very supportive, though my dad was very strict. But whenever it came to watoto wake being beaten or whatever in school, alikuwa a bit understanding. So when I told my mom, I told her and I told him, they went and talked to them. So sikuchapwa after that. Nilichapwa tu kidogo, but si sana.
So Sharon, ukisema mlikuwa mnachapwa tu bure ama ukifanya makosa?
Tunachapwa like every exam. Ukifail every exam, lazima tungechapwa. Not even failing, like umejaribu but bado haujafika hapo. So lazima tungechapwa because we had like a postmortem day written on the timetable. So inaandikwa postmortem day, meaning mnatandikwa kutandikwa. So the whole school, the whole class, sasa class 8. So class 7 downwards wanapelekwa, wanaambiwa waende kwa field. So sisi tunabaki kwa the administration block. And then we had like 7 streams. So they call from the last person to the first person. So wa mwisho kwa results mpaka wa kwanza. Alafu sasa mnachapwa ikikuwa around. So from each subject, not even at once, unachapwa once. So every subject, every mwalimu watandika. Now whatever was used was tire ya, you know, the tire, the rims. There was this thing that holds the rim in the tire. So that one was cut out and then a sellotape put on top, on the, like in a rapiwa around. So it was a whole, it looked like a nyaunyo, but not a nyaunyo because it has sellotape on top. So imerapiwa na tape. It was so painful. Yeah. I think that was child abuse. Sorry to say.
We'll still talk about it. So kongwenye in Sharon. So tegemite kebeberta noton ko kemeche keweka agoi kebeberta nebo Uasin Gishu sikobit karibu Manuela.
Kongoi balozi, kimoe kongoi kwa wale ambao wote wanaendelea kutufuatilia kwa upande wa Facebook, upande wa YouTube. Tunawashukuru, tunawapongeza sana. This is one of the growing shows known as Igere Nee Chitab Kalenjin, what's happening in the community of Kalenjin, and that is what has been keeping the show to grow worldwide. We're reaching out to different people who are in different states, in different counties here in Kenya, Australia, and even USA and the northern parts of Europe. Kongoi missing kwa wale ambao wanaangalia hapo, wanaendelea kufuatilia, kwa wanaingia kwa Facebook. Thank you so much. Continue liking the page, share so bit ketesta kibagenge. Ko our guest waro wale, your life is full of kisha iwe imanda iwe tu mapema. At this one point mimi Mombasa inyo Nakuru kwa iwe tu iskato mangote kama si tu ya shule. Omi msikilizaji, mimi mtazamaji na nyanet kolongona yekingo patangona itar form 4 kogi kinyoru ne meja kona kole kijimi Melbourne Australia kogi nyoru na form 4 agoi kite join any college in Kenya, and you are employed in Kenya or any university. Are you able to join any university in Kenya or college? And kimuji paishe kwa imi Kenya kutomi mandiwe emeta Melbourne Australia.
Okay, so before I answer that, I finished class 8 and I went to Kapsabet Girls. So when I went to Kapsabet Girls, siku perform according to my capability. Nikiwa form 1 was okay. Form 2 nikaanza mchezo. You know, you want to go out, you want to go to boys, you want to go hizo outings zote. And then it reached a point my dad akaambia na shule I be banned from going to those outings. So when I was banned, I told my dad, hey, me, I'm not going back because I'm not performing well. Naweza repeat to, I go to a different school and repeat and actually build a foundation from there. My dad was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm very sure. I want to repeat. Like, I seriously want to repeat so that I can build that foundation because I didn't want to end up failing. So I went to a different school, which is a mixed school in Eldoret Town, Emmanuel Complex. So there is where I did my case. That's where I went. Nikaenda nikarudia. So kurudia, nikiwa form 3, my dad passed. My dad akapata accident akafariki. My dad was my support system, was my everything, my motivational, my mentor, my kila kitu. So when he died, everything in me died. Sasa sikupata hiyo vile nilirepeat, I knew I'm going to get an A or an A minor, A, B plus hapo. I knew I wasn't going to get anything other than that. So when I was, because I went and performed really well, so with time, when he died, it really affected me. So I think I spent more time at home than in school. I had sessions, I had therapy sessions when he died at MTRH, but haikunisaidia because I was still grieving his loss. And then, yeah, nikafanya KCSE, sorry. I didn't get the grades that I wanted. And it made me feel so bad. So nikiwa form 3, actually, before my dad died, my dad had mentioned that nikimaliza shule, I'll come to Australia. So I had that in mind already. But sasa vile alifariki, nikajua nothing is going to happen because my mom was not working. My dad was the only person working. At that time, we were living in Nairobi. So my dad was the only person working. My mom was a housewife. And so when he died, ni kama kila kitu everything poromokad. So I did my KCSE, sorry. I did my KCSE. Why am I going back and forth? Yeah, I did my KCSE. Didn't get an A, didn't get a B. I got a C+. See, that was not what I wanted. And it killed me. It killed me, to be honest. But I thank God I have a very supportive mother. My mom, actually, when my results came out, do you know, even my family members, some of my family members never congratulated me. I think because they saw me as a failure. I remember one of my uncle was like, oh, ulienda tu kukula mkate shule. No one really knew.
So Sharon, you got a C plus, and they are saying Maisir gonna le C plus Kogayu University.
So no one knew. Like it was they said I don't know. Like everyone, I felt like I had failed. I felt I had failed, like kabisa. And then, of course, my family knew that, oh, I would have performed well. So when I repeated, I ended up being in the same class with my sister. And that's the reason why my dad did not want me. My dad was like, are you sure you really want to repeat? So I ended up being in the same class with my sister. And then, so she performed better, way better than me. She got a B plus and I got a C plus. So you can imagine. So people were congratulating her and not congratulating me. So I could hear. So, we are in the same house. Results zimekuja the same day. Wanampigia simu nikiwa tu hapo. I remember crying. Because I'm like, what do people see me as a failure? And not, because I remember my uncle were calling her and saying, oh, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And even before, instead of even saying, oh, wacha tuambie Sharon, congratulations, something, they would hang up. So you can imagine the stress, the pain, and I wasn't really, like, it didn't affect me that, oh, nimerudia. Unajua, some people feel like, oh, kurudia is the end of life. Kurudia means that you're a failure. Kurudia means that you can never do anything. What inspired me was my dad actually repeated like 3 times, but in one class, but alirudia mara 3, and he ended up being a mechanical engineer. So I looked at my dad as my mentor. and he really inspired me. So yo kurudia, I didn't see it as a failure, or I didn't see it as a something that, oh, what wataongea waseme. I didn't look at it that way. So when I repeated and I ended up being in the same class with my sister, I didn't feel like I shouldn't be there. Oh, my sister is younger than me, why am I in the same class with her? So I ended up doing whatever because I knew I was going to perform well. So when my sister got a B plus and I got the C plus, it was it was hard to take it in. So nika, yeah.
So where did the C plus take you? You know, obviously your sister went to university, and I think C plus 2 was a pass. Well,
I didn't go to uni. I didn't go to uni in Kenya. So what happened is, when that same day, because I was in tears and whatever, my mom actually told me, Sharon, you remember my daddy had actually said you're going to Australia? And I said yes. And she was like, that is going to happen. Do not stress, my daughter. That was her words. And I was like, Mommy, where are you getting the money? Utapata wapi pesa? You're not working. Mistaki kukupea stress. Sikuwa nataka kumpatia stress. So when she said that, me, I didn't go to any uni. I just stayed at home. So my sister went ahead. Now, of course, when my sister went ahead, people were like, oh, Sharon, shida yako ni nini? Dada yako ndio huyo pia ametangulia kusoma, wewe unataka kukaa nyumbani. Utapitwa na wakati. And all this information.
Where did your sister go?
My sister went to JKUAT.
Oh, okay.
Of architects, yeah. JKUAT to do architect. And so so mi nikabaki nyumbani na mzazi. Nikabaki nyumbani na mama yangu. Of course, with all this, relatives actually are the worst people. I'm not saying in a bad way, but they are the worst people to kill your morale. They're the worst people to put you down. I'm sure people are always scared to say this, but I say what is the reality. Relatives will pin you down. Actually, strangers are the people who motivate you to go ahead, but then relatives will put you down and see you and belittle you and see you as nothing. So I was seen as nothing. My sister was the one. So mtu hata angetaka kuniambia kitu go through my sister. And I remember my sister one time alinikola akaniambia, hey Sharon, watu wanasema. So I started my process ya kukuja Australia, but I just started it with faith, because my mom, the funds that is needed is very expensive coming here. You have to pay those milioni na nini hizo mabank.
So Janet, naglengo in Sharon abwati ole gasege jaktenyo ko kongoi so kakwa tukitogol jo, your sister has gone to university where umebaki nyumbani, ukakaa nyumbani, but thankfully your mother alikuja akasema don't worry, hata ile the dream ya Australia itabaki. So we find you in Australia now. Kimete mo the process like kina itana of Australia. Obviously nagele mo unya that kole tuni Australia. Was it something nagi maje you a lot of and kimwa unji, and then how was the process? Ki apply and ano agi mo chep kondo mara go mi wara jinyon ne kasataga ba Australia. Ago itos, encourage any young people to unye, because C plus actually was good. If but eventually you are aided that way. So how was it?
So what happened is the high school that nilisoma, kuna the principal, because I was the head girl. So at that time, before I transitioned to head girl, I was the assistant. So the principal alikuwa ananijua. Of course, when you're in the leadership role, your principal will know you. So the principal had kids here. So alikuwa na a daughter and the husband here. So when I was applying, of course, watataka kujua, students in the setting, students wameenda wapi after high school nini. So my principal alijua nilikuwa, nikawaambia mimi nataka, I'm planning to go to Australia, but then I had not even started the process. So the one of the committees ama sijui ndasema nini in that school actually gave me, akaniambia, oh, there's this opportunity that has come up, kuna hii shule. So that the school that I came in to ilikuwa the mwenyewe in Kenya. So when I came, before I came, so they gave me a form where I had to fill. So mind you, hapo hata sijafanya English exam. So there was this visa info in Eldoret where people were going to access information about coming to Australia. So I went there na nikaambiwa nini needs to be done, nini. I did an English test, IELTS, and then passed. And then what followed? Oh, so after that, I needed to apply school. So I did the process of applying near shule and I got a COE. So initially hiyo time kulipa ilikuwa haikuwa not very expensive. I remember my mom paid around 600,000 as a deposit to get my COE. So when I got the COE, Kenya ilikuwa imebaki ni bank statement. You need a bank statement. Of course you need it.
Sharon, when you say COE, what is COE?
Enrollment. Oh, sorry. It's an enrollment, like it's a confirmation of enrollment. So before, when you apply, you're given an enrollment letter. And then with that one, you pay fee and then got a confirmation of enrollment. So after umelipa school fees, unapewa hiyo karatasi ya confirmation of enrollment. So when I was given the confirmation of enrollment, nilikuwa nahitaji bank statement. Yeah, 3.5 million. Where to find was the issue. So my mom spoke to the friend. So bank statement inahitajika ikuwe immediate family member, mom, dad, brother, sister, grandfather, grandmother. So I was lucky that I was able, with the help of my mom's side, I was able to get a bank statement. And so before that, there's a lot of stress because you need to, kuna hizi vitu mingi, kuna hiyo English exam that I've said you need to do, which needs money, and I think now it's around 25,000 Kenya shillings. Kuna hiyo kuapply shule, so you can use an agent. Kuna agents in Eldoret na kuna agents in Nairobi. I used the LD one, but then I shifted to Nairobi, and the person was able to help me do the application. And yeah, that's how I got that's how I got I got to apply for the school and whatever. So kuna hiyo process pia ya kungoja visa itokee. So after that you go to do medicals, and then you do biometrics, and then now you do the visa application. Of course, all this there's fee to pay.
So kagebe kaiyai tukio tugul jo Sharon. Tumefanya hii maneno yote hii na bado tunashukuru. Naona Josephine Langat huko. Mi naona mtu ameandika hapa amesema maneno ya relatives zingine wana pin watu down. So asante relatives. Sometimes let's encourage people, don't put people down. Swasdamo kusupecha abwati ale mite Olimba Sydney, karibu sana. Agere Emily Korir, agere Kennedy Rono, agere Silas Kemutai kotokosubech kibwatwa kora akobo Optiven kibagenge inoto miten Nairobi. Tunakuambia tumia wao sasa zile unataka kujitafutia kashamba kadogo kule Nairobi ama property, alafu sumosirga relative chokokimwae. So kibwatwa kora akobo Tamo Life asikobit inyorchigei chaik ak ndonyo mat. Ko karibuni nyote yeimite share and like this program. So Ray Sean kosubet kubun gobiyet. Ko ketesetai Sharon kaiwe ang nikakebe nguno kainyoru tukyo tugul inai about Australia, kaiyai application, kaiyai medical. Tumeenda Australia sasa, kakobit pandab Australia. How was it when you got there? So ginyajundo linda kwa igene adjusting gingenji ngolota ama ulikuwa tu unajua shule na ulipofika huko what happened?
Okay, so before I say that, I think my shosho is watching, my gogo is watching, and she's the one who encouraged me to actually do that. Yeye ndo alikuwa na
Kigure nga gogo?
Nelly Sum.
Nele Sum. Kongwenye gogo ngole imite. If you're watching, we truly appreciate. Kongwenye gogo amu ang nijeptangong ako imojogorengong. So, you know, she's doing wonderful things.
Yeah, so
you know, maybe you never had time to tell her anything.
I love my grandmother so much because she's the one who every day in the morning, like nikifanya hiyo process ya application 6 o'clock yeye ndo angenipigia simu aniamshe, Sharon, umepeleka makaratasi, umelodge visa, umefanya biometrics, umefanya medical. My mom even was not that concerned. Like her, she was like, okay, what is needed, but my grandmother every 6 a.m. in the morning. I was staying with a friend in KU, and she would see a phone call and she was like, that is your gogo, because she knew my gogo 6 a.m. in the morning. So she pushed me, she pushed me to actually pursue that, and I really appreciate her and I love her so much, because if it was not her, sijui kama ningekuwa hata mali niko saizi. She really pushed me to that point where I'm like, so even when my visa came out, she was the first, because I waited for like 2 months. So hiyo period nikingoja angenipigia niulize bado hujasikia kitu yoyote nini. So when I got my visa, she was the first person who knew, because I rang her and I was like, Gogo, I finally got it. She pushed me to actually get to that point. And yeah, and I really appreciate her. So if she's watching, and I feel like I believe that she might be watching, so I really appreciate her and I love her so much. And I pray that God keeps her that long so that she can see. And I look forward to her coming and visiting me. So yeah.
So kanata nagameja amwa in Sharon ale gogo angenale mangenale how old is she? My mother is here, so I'm sure she's the same age as my mother. So ameja ale gogo demo work especially to graduate ni. I think you've graduated and you are going to graduate again. To near graduation bayangas kuya may konyo gogo neli gogo ameja iwa Australia. Lo monota lagi nagararan kabisa.
Yeah.
Abwati ale kotojin mojogorengung akoborun tuguk chekororon, tuguk chekimakchini. So ndemukoksei motogogo nebo kityo amu she did wonderful and encouraged you. So gogo would be very very happy to be in Australia. Kararan emonoto gogo ngotikosech ngole imi kianyoru kelchin awe kebeberatak no ako kararan kabisa. So mising ko nebo komonut ko amu binyoru mojogorengung ngolot. So meche kochopkei gogo ngot kotom konyor passport komeche kocheng ak tukyo tugul joan, maybe mom also to come, so that would be nice.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So kiune kokeit olindok kokeit Australia in Sharon?
So when I arrived, I was hosted by a family. So as I said earlier on, the principal where I did my KCSE has daughters, had a daughter here. So the daughter hosted me. So they are family, pastor, and the wife. So I really thank God that I was hosted by that family, because there was a foundation. So it really helped me with my Christianity and just growing with that foundation of continuing to know who God is, and actually grew a lot, because in a pastor's household you have to read the Bible every single day. You have to we had those Bible studies. Mi hata sikuwa nimesoma Biblia, but with staying in that house I had read, but not at in details and actually chambuad it and whatever. So when I lived with them, tukachambua Bible from the front to the last page. So I was really good. It helped me, build me spiritually, and yeah. So niliishi now for 8 months. But then now the problem is I wasn't sikuwa najua what next in terms of sikuambiwa in terms of I need to look for a job, I need to do this. So they had young kids, so I would come from work, I'll get home, look after the kids. So they really treated me as their own kid, but then ikifika point part ya job ndio sikuwa nimeambiwa what I need to do. So after living with them for 8 months, ndio nika decide I need to actually move out so that I can be able to look for a job. But meanwhile, si ati sikutafuta kazi, nilitafuta nikapata cleaning job. So I used to do cleaning in a Mwendi's house. And of course, it was just a little money for my pocket money. So ningeenda for a few hours back home. It was just a walking distance. So all this long sijui could drive. Sijui wana apply aje job. Sijafanya any other requirements. Na unajua how being in here, you have to have a lot of qualifications in terms of you have to have a certificate for something, you have to have first aid, you have to have what, you have to have vitu mingi, driving license, working with children check. Hizo vitu zote I had nothing in mind about it. So sikuwa nimeambiwa.
So Kolia Nguno, what happened? So immediately Monday you were your own place, Mengeni, you don't have a driving license, you don't have all these things. How was it? What happened to you?
So I remember what happened. There's a time I got a job. Kenya nilifanya ni, I think I went online and there was something I saw and I applied. Ilikuwa a job, but then it was far away. So when I applied for it, nikaenda. So at that time I'm really like, I really want to get these jobs. I really want to get this money. So nikaenda shift. Nakumbuka nilienda shift and I was asked if I can extend for an hour and I said yes because I really needed the money. So when I extended, kutoka mi sikujua hakuna bus after 9 p.m. This is a place I have never been to. So hakuna basi na sijui hata train station iko wapi because when I came it was easier because nilitumia basi. So when going I don't even know. At that time hata mi sijui kutumia GPS. We come from Kenya. Me had never been on a plane before in Kenya. I come here sijaitumia GPS, sijaitumia Uber ama hizo vitu zote. So I didn't have all that on my phone. Okay. So when I saw this, imekuwa giza. Here at 5 o'clock during winter, imeshakuwa giza. So there was no one on the roadside. It was a dark place. No one. Aki nilikaa chini nikalia. Because I didn't know what to do. If I called so this family hosted a few of us too. So we were like around five of us. And I couldn't call them because ni 2 hours train. So it's far. Hakuna venye ningewapigia simu wakuja wanichukue. Nitaanzaje? Nitawaambia hata watanisaidia aje. So I sat down and started crying and I called my mom and I'm like, "Mom, I want to come back. Like mi siwezani. Nichapwe na baridi, I'm freezing. Ndio hiyo natafuta pesa. This is not the life I wanted. Wacha tu nirudi nikule mboga nyumbani." So that is what I wanted. I was like, nah. So when I called my mom and I was crying, my mom akaniambia, "Oh sawa, wacha nikutafutie pesa ya ticket, you come back." I was like, okay. So I continued sitting down and then there was this.
So pesa ya ticket, you want to come back where? Kenya?
Come back home, go back home, like nirudi Kenya.
Sio urudi penye ulikuwa unaishi nyumbani sasa Kenya.
Because I felt like my life is not like, unajua kuna kitu yenye unaishi kwa mtu mpaka you are like, kwani nitaendelea kuishi hivi mpaka siku gani? I need to move on with my life. But again, you're trying to make things work, unaona hai work. So you're trying to you're trying to get job, get more hours, get some money, but then now you've reached a point where you're like, this is not the life as much as I'm looking for money, this is not the life that I want. So I cried. Nika call one of the guys, one of my friends I had met through that family. And I remember this guy telling me, "Sharon, you're not the only one who has gone through that. A lot of people have gone through Ebu Amka." So he was like, "Amka, talk to me while you walk. And then we try and find out where the nini is." So I was talking to him as I walk. Na saa hiyo ananipigia kelele, hata si hata ananiongelesha vizuri, ananipigia kelele, ananiambia Sharon, si wewe peke yako. Unajua watu wangapi who have gone through the same thing you're going through? Watu wengi sana. And people have even gone through the worst. So get up and walk. Let's look for the public transport. So I kept on walking, but saa hiyo natembea na uoga kwa sababu najua labda kuna mtu ananifollow nyuma na anaweza nigonga ama anaweza nifanyia nini. But then luckily, as I kept on walking, there was lights. So ikafika mahali I could actually see the train station. And that's how I got into the train and went back home. And of course, I reached there around the midnight. Kwa sababu ni mbali. 2 hours train is not a joke. It was quite a distance. So yeah, so that's how I started. So from then, hapo ndio sasa I had not moved out yet. So after that, the following year, sasa ndio nika move out. But then
So
I was also
umepata driving license ama bado still?
bado.
Okay.
So before I got my driving license, as I said before, my dad died from an accident. So nilikuwa na phobia. Hata nikiwa nyumbani kucross barabara was a big thing, was a big challenge. Because I was still iyo too. So I feared driving. I feared all that. Anything to do with cars, anything to do with anything to do with cars around me, nilikuwa naogopa. Because nilikuwa naona, na nikipata accident, what happens, So one day I called my mom actually. I think I used to tell my mom literally everything when it came to every step that I made. So ikafika kwa gari nikapigia mama yangu nikamwambia mami nimeshindwa nifanyaje. Akaniambia Sharon itabidi tu because there is no other way. You just try, give it a try. Nikamwambia mami
Sharon pale ulikuwa umeambia mama I want to come home akasema atatafuta pesa. So what happened?
Oh, so after that I called her. After nimepigiwa kelele na huyu kijana, after that I called her and I was like, you know what mom? Acha tu nitavumilia. And of course my mom was like, vumilia tu mtoto wangu, So nikaamua tu acha nivumilia, but she was like, if it gets worse, rudi tu nyumbani. I was like, okay. So nikaendelea tu na maisha, and then ikafika story ya gari, I had to get a driving school instructor. And I explained to the instructor, nikamwambia mimi naogopa magari. So the good thing about people here, they're very understanding. When you tell them what you're going through and you tell them, they are really willing to help. So that is what I loved about people here. They're really willing to help you. So I talked to the guy and I told him, I lost my dad in an accident and it has really affected me. So driving nisaidie too, but I might do things that neza mess up in one way or the other, but I really need help. So the guy actually helped me. Juu nakumbuka hata tukidrive, ningefika mahali and I see a trailer on the side because my dad had a head-on collision with a trailer. So when I could see a trailer, ninge stop ama hata yani ningekuwa too frightened na sasa singeendelea kudrive na nini. But then from then I was able to learn, and I went for like I think 5 driving lessons, and I was able to do it on my own. So nile drive, sometimes you believe in yourself and you're like, okay, I can actually do it. Nile to the fear of the unknown, but yeah, so I was able to do it, and then from then is where I applied for a job. Nika find I actually met up with friends. Sometimes it's also good to have friends who can help you understand, okay, the way around your work. Because one thing I learned is people come here and they become so isolated, not wanting to mingle with Kenyan community or not wanting to be around people. But it's very important to be around people. Those are the people who are an eye-opener. They will help you navigate towards finding a job, towards hizo vitu mingi tu zenye unahitajika kujua. Because it's a foreign land. Definitely we know nothing about this country unless we ask. So I asked around, knew how to apply, what was needed, nikafanya hizo vitu zote, and I ended up getting a job. So I got this job and then I started working. So when I started working, it was all good, but in the process, I had low iron infusion and it was making me so weak. So I couldn't really do any much. But then, you have to do like, you don't do one job, you don't even do two jobs. You do like almost 3 or 4 jobs to be able to
real hustling. Unajua watu wanaongea huko nyumbani wanasema hustling nation, lakini
I know.
yeah, so huko mtu afanye kazi na anasema ako hustler, wewe unafanya karibu 3 ama 4 na wewe bado ni real hustling iko huko.
The hustle that is here. And I remember Chelimo saying the other day, Chelimo Saina, who you hosted a while ago, and she mentioned about about people think we have money. Yes, we work, we drive cars. Gari ni necessity, it's not a luxury. And people think, oh, mtoto amekuja ameshanunua gari, akona pesa. It's not that. And 1 or 2 jobs cannot sustain you, because especially if you're paying school fees, if you have, kuna rent, kuna food, everything needs to be bought. Kuna fuel ya gari, kuna hizo vitu zote. So 1 or 2 jobs is not enough. You have 3. Not your 3. By the time you're paid, it's like nipe nikupe. Like money is nowhere. Unalipa bills zote and you're left with nothing. And you wonder, why am I doing? I sit down and every time I ask myself, people in Kenya, especially in Eldoret, is shere. People are always out. And I'm like, where do people get money? Because me, I'm working, but this money is not there.
So Sharon, pata kora watu kama Manuela hapa hivi. Saa zingine wanakuambia ututumie M-Pesa huko nyumbani, kuna ya nyumbani, kuna yako ya huko, kuna hiyo bills hiyo yote. Unafanya hiyo hustling yote hiyo, lakini still picho huo con Manuela are also probably interested in coming to Australia. Anangomeja kwa mandasang.
Yeah.
Ingolimbaga anan ingolimbaga ngabigas chito nekanyor C+, ikose kora kakong'etin ngonyor C+, ko young people, for example, Sharon, ikose they take their life away. Kobetegei chito sabet kosubkei ak ng'olyondoni mental health. Tos kitinyin ng'olyon neuni and how did you overcome? So amu kararan kora si ng'ololji biik, young people who are aspiring coming over ak families, ngab ikose kele kang'et chito kobete sabet, lagok akobargei, all those things. Mental health, ng'olyondoni kile mental health. Did you get to some point where you feel like mami maana ntukyan? What did you do? Ak ing'ololji biik cheu kotin Manuela chemeche kobwa ole, kacham ng'olyon nekemwa Sharon akele nginyo koroni ngimande sang komabite biik kityo. Manuela, yewe, don't go and isolate yourself. Hang out with people, but the right people. Ingele kora komite biik sinyen mi mara mingi mite biik kora jengiwe ibibete agenge, komi biik kora jengiwe isabe, so mongen ale kipcheito ano. Talk about it, Sharon.
So yeah, I have battled mental health illness, and that was depression. So I always tell everyone who comes here.
At what point, Sharon, again, you are fighting depression? The pastor, the pastor was, you read the Bible there. So at what point did you know you are depressed, and what did you do?
So when I moved out, see, of course I found a job, but then in that process you're still stressed out because you're like, you want to start a job, you want to start paying. I wasn't paying any rent, I wasn't paying anything in that house, so they hosted me for free. I was so lucky to be hosted for free. But then now when you're out here, you have to look for money for because you don't want to keep on telling your mom nitumie pesa, so you want to look for it by yourself. So kuna rent, kuna nini. I was a bit stressed about that, but that was not the actual exact reason why I battled mental health. So kuna wakati nilijoin hii kazi, nikakuwa na hii iron deficiency, and I remember I was working back to back, and then nika call my manager, because at that time you cancel shift, you call a manager. So this manager was upset that I cancelled the shift. She didn't want to understand that I was not okay. So when I told her that, she took off all my shifts yote. So kuchukua shift zote, nilikuwa na job moja peke yake hiyo wakati, kwa sababu nilikuwa sasa naanza, transition from not having a job to having a job, but then now I don't have many jobs, I just have one single job. So nikafanya nini, nikaendelea akaniambia ametoa shift zangu zote, atani consider. Actually hawajua I'll consider you unreliable, but I was like, I'm so weak, I can't do it, because I had a double shift that day. So I was doing morning 7 to 3 and then continue 3 to 10. So jioni singeendelea. So when she took off my shift, that was when now I became depressed, because I was like, okay, what else should I do? Nakumbuka akaniambia we need to have a meeting. So nikaenda meeting. When I showed up, she told me, oh, we've cancelled the meeting, I had something come up, we can reschedule the meeting. The second time she did the same thing, so I had to resign. Nikaona tu siwezi endelea kufanya hivi, because I'm traveling, going there, trying to talk to her, she doesn't want to see. So I felt like she was a bit of a racist towards me, but racism is everywhere. Itakuja tu along the way when you're here, like you have to experience that in one way or the other. So vile nilikaa bila kazi, hapo ndio depression ikaingia. So of course we all know mental health is an overall well-being of our minds. So when you can't, ikikuwa ni illness, ni a condition where it affects your mood, it affects your behavior, it affects the way you do your daily life, you go along your daily life. So it can affect kabisa. In the process, of course, in the process, I went into a relationship, and then the relationship did not work out. Did not work out. So nilikuwa na mtu alikuwa my support system. Unajua ukikuwa huku, when you get into a relationship, it's like the other person is your support system. Like mnakuwa support system of each other, because you don't have your family here. So mnakuwa, he really supported me during that time when I didn't have work, but then now I'm living with him. And then he decides to go. So to cut the long story short, he decided to go back to his country, which is in West Africa, and then he gets married. So ujue niko bado na stress ya job, and then now I get that. So it was a whole load of information that actually affected me kabisa, because now I'm like, okay, so now what next? What do I need to do? So I ended up being an alcoholic, in terms of taking alcohol just to keep my mind sane, because it was too much. And to be honest, my mom is watching this, but I never told her. So sorry, mom, that I didn't tell you. But yeah, I was so affected, and I didn't tell anyone. I didn't want to share it with anyone. You know, the thing is, when you're battling through mental health, utakangi kuongea kwa sababu unaogopa people will judge you. Ningeambia hata mtu nimwambie, oh, actually I'm going through this, I was heartbroken, mtu anakwambia heartbreak, what is that? But it's actually something, unajua. The thing is, headache, ukiumunga na kichwa, it's easier to say I have a headache, it's easier to say I have a toothache, but it's so hard to say I have a heartbreak. Tunaogopanga because tunaogopa watu watasema nini, mtu ataniona aje, ati siwezi jishi peke yangu, siwezi fanya kitu peke yangu. So you can imagine, so that not having work, then this relationship is not working, and then not working, like nimebetrayiwa in a way, because I knew this was my guy. I mean, this was the guy I'm going, like I have a relationship with, and it might go somewhere, but then down the line ameenda kwao, he asked me to go to his home, aende nyumbani atembele wazazi, kwa sababu he has not been there for a long time. So he had not been home for 7 years, and then upigiwe simu uambiwe ameenda kuoa. So you can imagine how you would take that. So yeah, so that was coupled up with a lot of things. Unajua, you're trying to work out. Pia nyumbani utaki kuitana school fees, utaki kuitisha school fees. You want to support yourself. And shule ndio hiyo. Juggling between work and school is really hard. But we have to. There's nothing else you can do. You have to juggle between school and work. So there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. So that was when I really had depression.
So Sharon, what did you do ngalejo tugul ju ka koit yuto ko jije gai kwai tuguk che giyai ko kutini singuli mbaka did he come back and so what how did you come out of all this?
So when he came back, I came to Kenya. I thought coming home to my mom, it will give me a time to heal. So I came for 6 weeks. Nikafikiria, nitakuja ni heal nirudi. I did not heal. The thing is, mental health is just like a physical illness. It doesn't toka like that. You need to have treatment. It isn't something that you just sit down and say, oh, itaisha tunaisha. So you need to have some coping strategies towards it. So mimi sikufanya hiyo vitu yote. So vile nilirudi, it became worse. Because when you come back, when you're living with someone here, kuna hiyo lease where you have a house together, hauta move out, mpaka hiyo lease yenyu ishe. So my lease was still intact with this person. So I had to continue living with him. So of course, living with him, he would do some things that you're like, that will give you that mental health breakdown. Kuna vitu angekuja afanye kwa nyumba and I'm like,
Pati Sharon, kwa koleji ngibatunisha nganan mamwa.
Mamwa aliniambia naenda sister yake. So the best friend actually called me and told me that Nani went to get married. He has told me to tell you because he's scared to tell you. And there was not nilipata huyu mtu kanisani. Yes, kanisa. Kanisani. So I knew he was a very, very good guy. Like very good. There was no any red flag. Unajua kuna ile nye utaona kitu useme, huyu hapana. Hakukuwa na kitu kama hiyo. He was a very...
So rafiki yake akakwambia yeye akakataa akasema hiyo ni story nimewekelewa hii maneno.
Hakukataa, aliogopa kuniambia, so aliambia rafiki yake aniambie. So rafiki yake akaniambia, so vile alirudi, mimi nikaenda tukukutana, nikarudi Kenya for 6 weeks. Actually, my mom is listening to this and I'm sure she's wondering, okay, you never told me. But yeah, sorry, mom. So I came back, continued living with him. Jujue hiyo lease haijaisha, so you need to live together. Nikaishi na yeye. Kuendelea kuishi na yeye, but luckily we had a 2-bedroom house. So kila mtu alikuwa na nini yake na tukaambiana, nikamwambia mimi, sisi ni housemates. Usinipigie simu ni text in case of anything, just tell me. Nikuje kwa nyumba nimpate kuna msichana mwingine kwa nyumba. Those things that really trigger you. And so I went through a lot. And ikafika point when I really wanted to. So at this time, nime go through a lot that I couldn't hold up. The thing about mental health is unafikanga wakati wenye you want to live at the same time you don't want to be alive. Like you want to be alive but you don't want to be alive. So I felt like the easiest way is just to follow my dad. Sitakuwa na hizi stress zote. So that was always what was in my mind because I used to cry. Unajua unalia kwa shower, unalia ukilala, unalia kila wakati. And me I didn't want to share it with anyone. And as I say this, I feel like it is very important to speak up. When you're going through a lot, it's okay not to feel okay. And it's very important to actually be honest about how you feel and talk about it. Talk about it to your friends, someone you can trust. So mimi, sikuongelesha marafiki zangu. Nili battle tu peke yangu. And then one time, I went to the train station. At this time, I felt like imenifika mwisho. And I wanted to actually take away my life. So I contemplated suicide. So Kenya ilikuwa kwa akili yangu ni train station. So I walked to the train station. I went to the train station and there was a Kenyan who was actually next to me. She was seated and crying. So vile bado nafikiria, okay, what should I do? Like I'm emotionally broken. I don't know what to do. nikasikia akiongea kwa simu, nikamsongelea nikamwambia oh sasa nini, and she was crying, are you okay? Akaniambia she lost her dad in Kenya, but she can't go home because of some issues with the family na nini, she's not able to go back home. So when I heard that, and then we started talking, so it distracted me from doing whatever I wanted to do. So tukaongea, and then ikafika jioni, ikafika time yenye tulikuwa tunafanya. I don't even know how we departed. I just know that I was on my way back home, on the train back home. So on my way back home, nikaingia Facebook, and I was just scrolling through Facebook. Nikapata a forum, an event imeandikwa Mental Health Men Forum in a certain church close to where I live. I was nikajiambia, you know what, let me go and attend this thing. So nikaplan the following. So I used to stay in the room, like I never used to. Your time siendi job, niko tu kwa nyumba. So all I could drink was wine. I had bottles, and I remember this guy one time walked into my room and he was like, Sharon, you need to stop doing this. Nikamwambia mimi nitakugonga na hiyo chupa na niende nijistaki kwa polisi. So I was so bitter. At the same time, I just don't see my worth kukua on earth. So I attended this meeting, and nikaenda kwa hiyo nikapata wazungu, of course, men. Nikauliza, can I attend? I was like, can I please attend this session? And they were like, yeah, you can, sure. So I went in. So when I went in, nikaka karibu na a certain lady. So the men were actually airing out what they are going through, the mental issues they are going through. And people are going through a lot. I was like, mine is not even a tiny bit closer to that. So when they were talking, I was like, So I remember speaking out loud, because most of the time I speak out loud. So I spoke out loud, and the lady next to me had me saying, actually, these people are going through the worst. I thought I was going through a lot. And she was like, she really wanted to know what was going on. So we ended up talking. I shared to her, and she encouraged me. And I found out that most of the time we actually talk to strangers more than how we talk to friends. Because we know strangers won't be able to judge us how to do it, so they'll be able to help us, and that's something that I really feel so bad that our own family, our own friends, we're always shying out to talking to them because we are scared of being judged. Okay, I didn't tell my mom because I didn't want her to get worried. And that's why I didn't share. It's not that I was scared of her judging me or anything. My mom is my best friend. So telling her anything, she would definitely listen and be able to help me. But then I didn't want her to get worried. So nikashughulika tu peke yangu. So after that is when I was like, mind you, I had done nursing. So I did nursing, became an enrolled nurse. But then I was now heading to doing bachelor's in nursing. So when I went through all this, nikajiambia, you know what? I think I need to do mental health so that I can help people out there who are battling mental health. So mimi nilikuwa najuanga watu wana commit suicide, but I didn't really know what really makes them nini inawafanya mpaka wanafika to that level. I'll be like, what's the point of, as many people would ask, mbona uchukue life yako? What's the point of you taking away your life? But until you're in that shoe is when you understand how hard it is to actually accept that you're suffering. And
so Sharon, so eventually ngalejo tukulju kigoi isomanji ne, did you are a nurse, are you a mental health expert? Kinye isomanji agoi, did you get help? Did you go through treatment and ngakure ne mongenale, in session again?
yeah.
After going along, what did they do? Kinyo ko nyain, or what did they do?
So I did see my GP, who was my general practitioner, ni kama daktari tu wangu. Nilienda kwake. Na I remember he told me, Sharon, I'm not going to give you antidepressants. I don't want you to be in pills. So he talked to me. Actually, aliniongelesha. And with the time, so vile aliniongelesha, I was able to bounce back. So nika nini, but not fully, because nikaamua kufanya bachelor's in mental health, alcohol and other drugs. as a course. So during this period when I'm studying too, I faced a lot. So I had this lecturer who is who is a bully. I think she's a bully and a bit of a racist. Sorry to use those words, but yeah. So the thing is, pia yeye alinieka into, mind you, I'm doing mental health, but again going through mental health issues because of her. And I remember one time she intimidated me in front of the class, and the rest of my students came to me and they're like, "Oh, Sharon, we're really sorry about what happened." Unajua. So at that point, when she, so how she intimidated me was, we had a presentation, and I remember I told her. So some of us, like myself and a few more students, went to her and we're like, "Can we do our presentation the following week?" So kuna nyafanya that week na kuna nyafanya the following week. So when we went and told her that, she was like, "No, you can only do it today." So I was like, "Okay, can we do it among the last students?" She said, "That's fine." So when we went to sit down, the next person who was doing the presentation was Alienda Mbele. Immediately when the guy went in front, I called like, "Sharon, you're next." I was like, "Please, can I just do it among the last student?" Because I had already told her, I'd already spoken to her. So when I went to sit down, she was like, "Sharon, you're next." And I'm like, "Please," from where I was seated. When I said please, she was like, "If you don't do it, I'm going to fail you, blah, blah, blah." You know, she started saying things. So I just decided to go do my presentation. Not that I wasn't ready. I had my presentation, but I felt like there's some things I needed to change. So I went and did my presentation. So after that, students wakakuja wako like, "Oh, we are really sorry about what happened." You know how white au unajua sisi tumezoea hiyo shule, si tulikuwa tuna hata mwalimu anakuambia, "Oh, wewe hujafanya vizuri ama nini," and you wouldn't take that personal. So me, I did take it personal. Niliona tu, you know what, let me just do it and get it done with. But then now when the students came is when I felt a bit I was actually nilikuwa na tears on my eyes because I'm like, what is this? So after that, she came to me and she was like, "Oh, I did that because I knew you were not ready." That's a whole lecture. And then, mind you, that aside, she would give me zeros in my essays. I remember I did 2 essays and she gave me 0 consistently. And I emailed her and I was like, "What exactly do I need to do so that because I need clarification on what I need to do, because umenipea 0 mara mbili na sielewi." And you know, when I emailed her, she changed my marks without me doing anything. So, you know, she gave me anxiety. I was like, anytime I would see her results, I had anxiety because I was like, I don't know what to expect next. So she literally wanted to fail me, but then not that I wasn't doing the right thing. I was doing the right thing. Na nakumbuka ilifika a point where tuko na a whole group discussion, like a group presentation. Of course, with the group presentation, we all present the same thing. And we work together and present it. And I remember she failed me. She passed the rest and failed me. And you know, 50% is a fail. 50% going down is a fail. But then 50 and above. So then they got 80%, I got a 40%. So immediately when I saw that, I knew this woman doesn't like me at all. So I emailed the dean. So without all that, unajua, when you have to redo an assignment at 2,000 words, mind you, you're working, kuna vitu mingi you're doing. So whenever you go through that in school, inaku affect sana. So it really affected me mentally, and to a point where sijaifikiria I can actually go to I never thought that I would reach a point where I have to see a student council in my school. So I had to go to a student council. Nikaenda nikamlilia, nikamwambia, "Me, I don't know what this lecturer wants." Nakumbuka hata I had to go to a course coordinator. I'm like, "This is what I did and I was given a 0. I just want you to go through it, uniambie where I did wrong." And I remember my course coordinator went through my assessment and she was like, "Oh, that was a good point. That was a good point." Then I asked her, "If it's a good point, why am I getting a 0? I don't understand why she's giving me literally a 0." That's okay. So yeah, so I battled that. Unajua? So hiyo vitu yote coming all together at once, you can imagine the stress that comes with it. At one point, my hand ikafura, and I thought, okay, maybe nimelalia mkono or something. Nikaambiwa niende, so I went to the doctors, was told to do an x-ray na nini. So when I did so what happened is I did an x-ray, an ultrasound on my palm, wakapata hakuna anything. So I went back to the doctors, and the doctor was like, you have anxiety, you have stress, and that's the reason your palm is. So mind you, your time my palm was ilikuwa imeswell. I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't drive, so ilibidi nimekaa nyumbani. So here, if you don't go to work, actually you think a lot, you have stress, because you're like, I'm losing money, I'm losing hours, I need to actually go to work. So all that bottled up na hizi vitu zote ilini stress sana, and yeah, and nikafanya nini nika go through it and try to. The good thing is I didn't go for medication, so I just went for the sessions with my school counseling sessions, and then at the end I ended up emailing my dean of students, because I was so nilimwandikia a whole paragraph nikwambia this is what I've gone through and I don't understand. I actually did. The reason I wanted to do this subject is because this course is because I've gone through mental health and I wanted to help people. So there's no way I'm actually doing it and I'm also battling the same thing in the same course. So I needed help and an understanding of where I went wrong. So even with the group discussion thing, I was like, what rationale did the lecturer use to give out marks? I don't even understand why I was failed. So niliongea now, and I ended up, so the whole board had to sit together and go through my emails, because I had several emails sent out to my counselor, to my course coordinator, to my dean. So they went through it and they were able to give me a supplementary where I did it and passed. So someone else marked it and I was able to pass, and that's how I passed. But yeah, so
in short, Sharon, go. It's good to talk. Agifaitan mamaje, if you are talking to people like in Manuela ngopi kemeja kwa school, don't just say, like like things like this can happen. And it is good thing because you have to go through the board, wakaenda, wakaremark you or whatever. So kiwoi finally tingalejo tokoljo. Kinyoru treatment from the school, did you get help? And at what point naginya inaile, kaisop, or what happened actually towards the end?
So I didn't really yeah, I got help from school because I talked. The thing is, if you speak up, you get help. But if you're silent, because I realized a lot of people, even a lot of students as we speak, are very quiet because they don't know who to approach or what to say. They're scared. Unajua nyumbani tumefunzwa ile nye haujui kuongea, like kuongea ni unaogopa kwenda address issues like that to the nini. But then I spoke out and I said, this is affecting me. And I expect, the thing is, you just need to be honest about how you're feeling. That's the most important thing. As much as you're addressing it and you're airing it out, express yourself. You just have the confidence to talk about it, that you're not alone and people have gone through it, to try and talk about it. So yeah, so me talking about it really helped me, because even now I share my experience with all my friends. Like anyone I meet who is battling whatever, I'll be like, me, I've gone through this and this, so this is how we need to work and this is what we need, the coping strategies, do whatever makes you, fanya kitu yenye nakufanya happy, as much as you're going through all that stress. So yeah, so when I went through all that, I was able to seek help from the student council na nini. And mind you, during this period, I got anxiety, very bad anxiety. Actually, nilienda nikaambiwa ni generalized anxiety, to the point where I got into an accident. But luckily, I wasn't hurt. So with all that, I was able to, I wouldn't say I'm really healed per se, but I think at this point I'm able to say, I'm actually accept whatever I'm going through. I need to work on this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And I even seek therapy myself. As much as I am a therapist in a way, I also seek help from some of my friends. I'll be like, I need help. I'm going through this, whatever. And my friends will come and see me, or will talk to me, will call me. And Uku, the thing is, with this place, I've seen people who have committed suicide. I know people whose bodies have been sent back home because of mental health and depression, because of all those. We have a lot of mental health illnesses. This, especially depression being the most common one. So I've seen people who have died of depression and have taken home. I know of some. I've heard of someone who is actually buried here, and we didn't know, just because we don't. The thing is, people seclude themselves from the community, and then they go through something, and then at the end of the day, anakuwa buried, ama she goes through something and she dies or kills themselves, and then we don't know about it until later on. The government ended up burying the person. So it's so sad that we get to that point. But then I would advise people, when they're coming here, just be mentally, emotionally, physically prepared. Because with this place, you go through a lot. Be it financial, the pressure from back home, where you want to actually support them, at the same time you want to support yourself. The pressure of turning, let's say, 30-year-old, you don't see any progress in your life. Unaona watu wa Kenya, your classmates, they have kids, 2 or 3. Wewe uko hapa, you don't even know what next.
Sharon, amete atebena nale in ngalejo tugul jitesetai ju. What contributes a lot towards mental health as an expert in lagok chebwane ngolimbaga, beside sigik who are very demanding in ngolimbaga, because ngiyog nguna Manuela konyolo igose sigik kolejinin tukituma tu huyu mmoja sisi tutakugogesap, yani kalugogesap kogi family. Koutye kole, kikochi pressure Manuela ak chi age anan ko inye okot, a lot of pressure ngolimbaga itepche. You see a phone call, if not, you see a WhatsApp, kimeche iyogu ilipan fees, especially nguno, people are going to Form 1. Form 1 is not just silimut, we are talking of kingalale olimba 60,000, kolejin chito meche iyogu tomorrow morning, so kwa your brother or your sibling or lakwetab senge. What are some of the things you contribute towards mental health in big chekakobwa sang, Sharon?
First and foremost, I'd like to advise parents. Ukileta mtoto, wacha kwanza aende asome Kenya. Like, at least akuwe ametoka outside your house to go to uni, hata college. Ndio akuwe open-minded, at least anajua what is outside. But ukileta mtoto immediately from your home, unamleta huku, it's tough. It's really, really tough. Because the kid, huku unakuja, you know no one. So unahostiwa na anyone. Friends can host you. You can imagine life back home when a relative hosts you. Let's use an example. Ukitumia relative akikuhost. Relative haezi taka uishi hapo for so long. The thing with relatives, there'll be something. They'll either kick you out, or they'll just do something, talk about you or do whatever. So imagine coming all the way to a stranger you know nothing about. This is not even your relative. So someone who won't host you, unaleta mtoto ama unamwambia, enda kuna mtu atakupik airport, and then the people don't show up. So your kid is so stressed out. Hajui. So me, I'd really advise parents, let your child be emotionally, physically prepared. Mentally prepared. Ndio akitoka kwako, ameenda college, at least anajua what to expect out there. Anajua, I need to actually work to get food. I need to do this, huku nje si rahisi. Ndio sasa akikuja huku, at least ako prepared. And another thing is siblings. Our siblings would call us, tunataka pesa, thinking we have money in my account. Actually, what I do, I'm not being whatever, but what I do to my sister when she asks money is I screenshot my bank account, knowing very well I have nothing. So I send it to her, and I'm like, me, I don't have money. You people think I have money. Just because I'm at work 24/7 doesn't mean that I have money seated in my account inangoja kupelekwa nyumbani. So I feel like parents, as Chelimo said the other time, Chelimo, who was on the session the other time, she said something very whatever. Let's challenge our siblings to have a plan, so that when you're giving them money, they have a plan on unajua unawapea pesa ukijua okay, that's the plan, this is what you're going to use the money for. And let our siblings not get upset when you tell them we don't have money, or when we refuse. You know, it's not our obligations to give you money, it's just that we want to help you as our siblings. So I feel like parents need to understand that when we come here, we are struggling, it's not easy. So parents need to understand that wasiweke that pressure on us. We have a lot of pressure. Kuna hiyo pressure ya job, kuna pressure ya shule, kuna pressure ya kila kitu. So they need to understand, hata wakitutuma huku, unajua mtu unatuma unaambiwa enda utasaidia mandugu zako, but before you actually settle to that point, because kuna issues mingi that bring stress. Kuna issue ya visa. You know, once you finish school, some of you know that people here, before you get a visa, you have to apply for another visa. So meaning you have to go to school. You have to continue going to school until you get to a point where you have to apply for your PR. But it doesn't come easy. So the only safest way is being on a student visa. Now your student visa, you're still paying school fees. So there's that stress. Another stress that we go through is loneliness. Tuko mbali na nyumbani. Hatuna mtu mwenye tunajua huku. So we are just lonely in that we don't have that support from our parents. So you can imagine all that hiyo yote yenye tuna go through. And then what else do we go through? There's financial constraint, financial problems. As much as we work those 2, 3, 4 jobs, trust you me, tunakosanga pesa kwa account. Because once you pay for this, once you pay for rent, kuna registration, car registration, kuna fuel, kuna chakula, kuna school fees. Saa zingine zote zinakuja once, umelipwa kama umepeana. So we end up not having any money. So parents need to understand that as much as watu wako huku, pia kuna hiyo point yenye hauna pesa. Mtoto anakuambia yes niko shift 24/7, but haimaanishi that pesa is just sitting in the account waiting to be sent back home. So I feel like also parents need to understand that. And then another thing that actually causes a lot of mental stress here is failed relationships. Unajua kuna hiyo labeling ya huyu ni wanani, huyu ni wanani. So it's a small community. Si mali kama Kenya where you can date someone from Eldoret and have someone from Nairobi na wajuani. Huku kila mtu anajuana. So when you are with someone else knows. So by the time you break up, kuna story, of course, there's labeling, there's a story going on. So you're suppressed in a toxic relationship just because you're scared of leaving. You're scared of what people will say about you. If I say there's
kongoi Nee Sharon, kongoi. Ameche atesyi akine sigik aleji, stop demanding eng lagok amu yemi chito sukul kolipani fees, kolipani tukche tugul, it takes time. Ako kacham ng'oliot nekemwa Sharon, nakele ndemukokse eng sigik chemi gaa ola, onde lakwet korok college yukakokuroen, monam kityo lakwet nekamang'u form 4 akotinde kwa Australia anan konyo emotinwek cheu chu. It can be very challenging. Ako ng'oliondoni kikure mental health ko real. So kiyeku an expert eng ng'alechu Sharon, through experience coming through this, now you can advise other people. Kongoi ng'alek chekaing'alal. So kakebwa Sharon, kabwatwat kai mongen ale kibek lisit Kenya nekibo chichi Kenya kikowechigei chicho. Ko ameche ateb ale Sharon, is Sharon booked or anan kakobor ng'alechu kolya, is Sharon booked or not, and what are the limitations? Sharon.
Okay, yeah. So with that, I lost trust in men completely, and I won't share my. Okay, now I do trust them though. Trust is earned, so it depends on someone you meet. But for now, I won't share my relationship status.
Sharon, magimeje iwe somgo, I mean, all of them are not going to be bad, and at some point, when the time is right, you cannot just say you an expert in mental health, you have to share up to kitogul. Don't be an island,
Yeah.
So I'm sure down the road,
Mm.
somebody good will come, and you'll be able to figure out what is right for you. Sharon, we want the best for you. You are a good person.
Okay.
Based on the experiences chegibun. Magere in Magere Emanuela Mongeno Lagalia ko kita now that you've lived in Australia,
Yeah.
would you trade Australia for any other country? And what are the opportunities in your law or the different hardships of Australia? Would you trade it for any other country, or it's Australia?
Actually, in the next 5 to 10 years, I would want to go back home. I think it's different with everyone. Me personally, I feel like I would want to go home. Life here is very expensive. Life here is. I'm not saying that to scare people, but I'm just saying the reality. Life is hard here, and
In Melbourne or other places, maybe there is South Adelaide, there is
uh,
Sydney, there is
I'm
Bath where there are a lot of people. I see a lot of people from Bath. Maybe they will say, well, Melbourne is very expensive because it's an advanced city.
yeah.
Would you go to countryside or things like that, or
Uh, yeah. Melbourne is a bit expensive but I don't think there's a big difference. So the thing is, Australia is a beautiful country. Don't get me wrong. Australia is a very beautiful country, and if you really want to study, Australia can give you a great opportunity to whatever. The only thing is, I always advise people who have good jobs in Kenya. If you have a good job in Kenya, paying well, please don't leave your job to come here. I'm not advising in a not that I don't want you to come, but I'm just telling you the truth. Like, don't leave your work there and coming here, because here, one, um, it's hard. It's hard. You need to juggle between different things to be able to actually be at your feet. A lot of people are even struggling. Even the ones who are permanent residents, you hear them saying they want to go back home. So it's just not us being students that we're. And for us to actually, with Australia, applying a PR can take some time, can take quite a long time. But with the right and seek information. Information is power. If you need anything, just ask. It's good to ask before coming here, so that you're not stranded, so that you don't know what to do. And also, the thing is about here is also raising a kid. Mothers, the first time moms who are students, they actually go through a lot of stress and depression, because your first time mom, uko karibu na mzazi. Unajua nyumbani, at least uko karibu na mzazi, unaweza pelekea mtoto, ama mother anaweza kuja kukuvisit akusaidie na mtoto. Here it's quite hard. So yeah, so I feel like if you really want to come, well and good, come, and come when you're prepared. It doesn't matter the age, it doesn't matter your size, it doesn't matter your experience and whatever. Here, there's a lot of different yeah, we are all basically the same. Unaweza toka Kenya, you leave a doctor's job, and then you come here and it's not recognized. That's the problem with Kenya, with Australia. They don't recognize most of your academics back home. So ukikuja bado utaendelea kusoma. Na you won't, hata kama work in you are a doctor, or you are an engineer or something. By the time you come here, before you get to that point, it will take some time. So you start with these basic jobs before you actually go there. So me, I would advise someone who is earning well and doing well, just stay in Kenya. Like, if you really want to come, that's fine. And yeah, and then another reason why people go through mental health here is loss of people are scared to go back home because of what it's expected of them. No, kama mimi nimesema tenda in the next 10 years. Someone else would want to go home, but ako scared watu watasema nini. So let people be. If someone decides, me, I'm done, let me just come back home. Let that person come. Isikuwe like you have to talk about the person and say, oh, you alifukuzwa ama whatever, And I keep on saying, things to do with relatives, I keep on saying, but then I'm like, you know what? Let people come home. if maisha imewashinda hapa, instead of someone going to that point where they can no longer want to leave and end up being suicidal and nini, let people just come back home and do whatever back home. But then let's not put pressure on them that, oh, since they're there, they need to do that. And yeah, so I would advise people.
Kongoi nye Sharon. Meja kemwa kongoi Senge Mkubwa, Bernard Magut, kagerin Helen Chiriot, kobun Minnesota kagerin. Honorable Chiriot, the teacher, Kalengola, following from Bomet, Uswet Kongoi, Koech Langat, Shadrach, Tech Time, Jackson Mais, Kalengola, mental health is real, especially for single students. Thanks, Sharon, for highlighting. Osman Chumba, good job, Sharon. Agero paipajin big, Kongo inga kwektukul josubeje, share and like it. Ago kararan ke ngalale ngalejo sige saru lago, sige saru big kejang je mujugo tarete tegi buatu na goba optiven ke bagenge inota mita ke bebertam Nairobi ki buatu na goba Tamo Life. Kongoi for being our sponsor, Nota Ndonyomat, Kongoi Janet Ingolemi CEO, ak CEO na ba Octagon, Kongoi Dori Chelagat, imita Bebertab Nairobi, Sagabit Itorete, Janan Itoreti, Makinigegi, Ingology Jagat, Sagabit ko Toretin, Kujimun, Embargadogo. So, Kita Satai Kongoi, Inga Quetul Jago Subit, Kongoi in Beak. Che sube ko bun talk ke terkin mongen ngotigere ji Manuela no to sube asako biti tepti bu chen ngumet so gimi ko limba numbers number sa ke bendi ke ta kinige magolo se git ke tarte tu chet na babitu tabra ko ngoy ngakko to kol che ko sube ko bun talk ko ke terkin ago ngoi Sharon amu ke ngalale ngalionda ne ba mental health chi pi ke dangu mangalole ngabu mengen bi ko lo ko nyandos ngalejo ko higere gabagenge inota ba Octaven ingolimba Nairobi ko chengjige ambar kidogo anani chengjige property kitigen asakobit inyoru toretet ak inyoru magiamen anan kiumisanen so kongoi ngolyo nagemwa Sharon nabo piik chemengechen chekiyoku kobwa sukul ako tokomengech meche kakoet chito konai kole ne ngap koyok sikinde lakwet mengen akot kokwany akokeyokte kwolin sikokwongchi ngo. So, Kongo Nyotak, amu you've shared what is actually real. Kemwa kora naba ngujita ngoi daktari nginyo emet ab America. I hear a lot of people go tebe na kole amakini lakwen you go nyor enyo kwa medicine. When you come to America, you cannot go to medical school even with an A. Medical school in America is a graduate program. So lazima iwe na gilen BI biology korog 4 years nyewege ni itachige ya medical exam asokobit your medical school. It's a graduate program. So ngibunoli na go daktari go yoje nye ya gora exam ingoli sokobit inyoise so you cannot just go and inyabi or ya test ya exam. I know of some friends of mine who are doctors who came, they had to go back to school. Sharon. So it's not easy. It's very challenging. Osman Chumba, Kogale Subech, Kobun Transmara, Gongoi Osman, Josephine Langat, mental health is real, especially you are away from home. Kurum Ngalejo Tagaman, Osman Chumba Gorangyo, good job, Sharon. Ko Manuela mange ngote igere ngone isubeje asokobit itepte buchemo Manuela.
Kongoi missing Ambassador Peter Rono kobun lemba US. Kitestai komie agere kitestai komie kabisa agere nyo agere ngile root chumba. Alabuno nandi kale testai kuocheni show kufollow up the show agere ngile Meshak Chemengich mental health korom agere Alex Maritim kora kulen testai kufollow the show agere ngile Alex Kirwa. Kongoi missing Alex Kirwa kwa kuendelea kufuatilia show yetu ambayo ni show moja, show kubwa zaidi ambayo ni show inafahamika kama Igere Nee Chitab Kalenjin. We are interviewing people all over the world. We are getting in touch with such amazing stories. Like we are in episode number 69 currently with our special guest all the way from Melbourne, Australia. That is Sharon Ngetich. I think you have heard the story. If you are a youth all over the country, from here, story ni Sharon kongete kota Kapsabet olo Mombasa ano igere ile kikoromit banda angot yakangalale kole most of the youths ngoro chito nakalanda kwa bitani kokere kole bas ame make it makomi challenges government of Australia makomi ne, lakini you can see that Sharon went through a lot. Ako kinotok ne ibwatyin biik kole ngit Australia ko sherehe maki amu ngiro Eldoret currently we are numbered almost one of the biggest festive town eng kenyisiek somok chenyone. Balozi ngiro eng Eldoret oli kongete yep Teleview Langas nini ko mung'aret nemi oli ko tamasha ake chekile TMT ngiro chito kwae opere sherehe eng Eldoret tos ile mi bitani ile tangu mi Kenya kabisa jidata ko kimoe kongoi kabisa eng biik choto ketestai kosubot kiborto noto nebo Facebook, YouTube ile utestai sikobit ke grow in the page ko i-likean i-share with all your friends sikobit the story nebo Sharon au kitan kotomo iro nyenyoru mtandao sikobit nyikas akifollow up the story sikobit commentanin akwaun kila kitu. Ko balozi kwa abwati ale ami eng tebutienyu ko ami number 7 yo.
Number 6.
Ko kakimeche Sharon ibwatwech ilechi mashabik chechoket chotok cheisubwech kabisa eng all over tos ikochi ne eng advice in terms of ng'alek chebo over 40% kende youth che unemployed ko tos ilechi ne ak or ne tos imuch koboisie icheket sikomuch kosulda.
Ak itesyi kora Sharon amu mi sigik kora, mi sigik makomi boisionik isomesoni sigik lagok. You find that parents will educate their kids. They've spent a lot of money. Kotar university okot kinde Eldoret University, kinde Masinde Muliro, kinde Mount Kenya University. Kakealda kuret, kealda tuguk chekialdoi, kealda whatever it is. Kotar chito sukul and then they come home, there are no jobs. So what do you tell these youths chujang jumagotinye ngap konyo kijanat kole oldoi ne korenyu ak alji boda nyokwo olin len mungaret will just come and translate into money. Mengen kole lasima kinde mwaita pikipikit, kinde insurance, ayin bet ko kokimwoe kele you have to go for training. Tukyo tugul. So it doesn't really like yechut business ko it doesn't mean profit right away. Imagine what advice would you share with the youth chejang jemite olimbaga, Sharon?
My advice is don't be so choosy when it comes to jobs. Easy jobs zingine kama cleaning, plumbing, easy jobs zenye we used to see mjengo, we used to see them as nothing, but these are things people are doing here and it actually pays. So it's a matter of just trying to do something. Like, don't just sit at home because there's no job. Maybe you did nursing, you did a doctorate, or you did whatever, and then you're looking unatafuta to job towards that, whatever your profession, whatever you studied. But kuna hizi vitu zingine, you can start a business. Don't just wait for that opportunity. Do business as you keep on trying. The thing is, you need to try as much as possible to keep on applying, and eventually, you never know, doors can open. And just have faith and believe in yourself, because prayer is actually a powerful thing. Pray and believe that you're actually going to get it. But then the thing is, do something. God will never bless you for just sitting down and praying and waiting for manna to fall from heaven. You have to actually work for it. And kuna vitu mingi, unajua mzazi ataona unauza manguo, ajiambia mi sikukulipia pesa ya kuuza manguo, mi nilikulipia ukue nini. Because the thing is, the problem with African society is we tend to actually look at we tend to hear what people say in terms of unaweza toka kwa hii familia, and let's say there's a different family, the kid is doing very well, yeye ni pilot ama yeye ni nini, and then you're really scared to say, oh, mtoto wangu anafanya, let's say anauza sokoni ama anadu nini, don't look like, we need to actually outgrow that and live in a way that we actually appreciate everything, regardless of what your daughter is doing or what your son is doing. Because the moment you compare is the moment you're putting so much pressure on yourself, and you're also putting so much pressure on the kid. And that's the reason why you find that most parents, ikifika hiyo point, unasikia mtoto mzazi amekuwa na pressure imepanda, sijui amekuwa diabetes, yani kuna vitu tu, pressure imepanda, ameshikwa na stroke, just because they do not accommodate what their daughters or their sons are going, like how accept that, okay, my child has no job, but at least she's trying to do something. Appreciating what your child do is very important, because the moment you stop appreciating what your child is doing, the little the child is doing, hapo ndio mental health inakuja. Now you find that even your kids don't want to talk to you. Unapata unapiga simu, unashangaa mbona mtoto wangu ashiki simu, ni because you don't appreciate whatever effort the person is trying. So I'd advise parents, just appreciate whatever. Hata mtoto akipata C+ ama anguke aje, appreciate that, because the kid has tried, amejaribu. That's what she could get, or that was the level in which alikuwa. So we all know people have different capabilities when it comes to studying, but if you see your child has really struggled na amefika hiyo ndio amepata, appreciate your child with that and try and do something else. Kuna vocational trainings, kuna hairdressing, kuna hizo vitu. Don't look at just the bigger jobs alafu unaona hizi zingine as nothing. These two actually make money. They make money from that. These businesses, what wanna make money from that? Farming, from all these things that we look as though it's nothing, it's something. It's actually something. So I would advise parents, let them do something. And then these young guys, there's farming. Kuna vitu mingi za kufanya. Grow something. There's farming. If your parents have a piece of land, ask them for a piece of land. Do something around it. Farming, nini. Do those things. Eventually you get money from that. And then from there is where you grow your business, and business will boom. So it's not a matter of you waiting to be employed in an office. So I'd advise everyone to just do whatever is there. Don't just sit back and wait for your parents to push you.
Kongoi Nee Sharon, kongoi. Agere Mheshimiwa notok Honorable Francis Rono Chitab Ketik o kusubet agere Honorable Alfred Keter abwati ale Mheshimiwa nebo Nandi Hills kongoi kora Honorable Mishra Kiprop Arap Chelule notok ko MP nebo Keses isubejeng program ni. Kongoi ngakwek tugul. We truly appreciate you and thank you for what you're doing, and we wish you the very best. You're bending a lot of election. Agere chito nekile Dennis Itumbi, kongoi mangen ale mnyeno. Gideon Kipkorir Birgen, kongoi aru kalengo akuna sauti mangen ale ngo Arab Koros. Joash mangen ale kele mamnyeno sauti tungola Josephine Langat. Thanks Sharon. So pike jango mwa kongoi ngalek chekemwa Sharon chabo itegon young people en mungaroshek. What chito negenyoru D+, you can always upgrade that kutinye inyo ibi diploma, ibi inyo gotia degree. We have people who've gotten D and they've really upgraded themselves until they get a degree. So it's very possible kugego positive. Agetini kora kita nakokamwa ale ngiwe these technical vocational colleges chumite komi kosishek chebo maana cheu chebo being a plumber, biik cheu chekile landscaping. Makitinye landscaper. I was looking for a landscaper. It's very difficult to get one, but mi courses cheu chotok che lasima ko chepcherani cho tugul cho. And then mi ng'olyot ne farming, doing organic farming. Ko mi courses cheke ovani. Don't just go into farming ama courses. If you can do courses and then you do that, imuji i-build ngot ko ega business na very lucrative ne imuji ko toretin. So makwak chemnyach akwek tugul lo mi agere Kibrono noto kikure Hope Limo mangen ale imyeno. Agerin John Menjo Kiplagat kale isubet kobun olimbo Canada. We truly appreciate you. Kongoi chitab Canada. Ako courses chake cho chebo vocational ko ngap kemoche skilled workers ing olep sang emotinwek cheu Canada, emotinwek cheu New Zealand. So komite opportunities cheu chotok, we have to be aggressive akiro kele kakiyai and kecheng nafasishek, but be prepared when you go. Don't just go. Meche ke prepare lagok kokakoekitu sikongen. Professor Ismail Nicodemus Rono, abwati ale alumni nebo this program, we truly appreciate you kongoi ngole imitei, abwati ale teisire kitabushek. So nekit sikebwa ng'oliot no kimwoe kelen our takeaways chekakenyorchi chepkametinyo notok Sharon ing kebeberta notok bo Melbourne, Australia. So kongoi Josephine Langat kale you are changing other people's life in a positive way. Kongoi nye Josephine, akabwati ale ing ng'alalet nebo Sharon ko kongoi amu ketiny ng'oliotab mental health nematatya komwoe biik, and this thing is actually real. Kerer metiet neikose biik kabisa kerer met chito komi tukyu. It is actually real and it is there and you have to talk. Kale Sharon ng'ololchi chi mesista si meite tukchotok so koumisanin buch. Ko Kipkoech Collins kale kongoi Sharon kakerin Kalenjin abroad, kongoi ing akwek tugul chekakosubech eng programini. Kimache keweke kele tos kakenyorchine chepkametinyo inendet Sharon komi kebeberta nebo Australia, Melbourne, ko asingya kiweke nyikekonin imwa ng'alekuk chebo let ing'ololchi biik, ko mongen koinyorchine Manuela, ing banep Sharon, ko tos ne nekainetege Sharon ko inye ko ii chito agenge ne mara mongen maybe imakchinigei ile te olindok, ko tos ne nekainetege Sharon singiwendi komabiwe so kotokomwa kora Sharon komwa kole yeinyone anyun because people like Manuela probably would be looking forward one day to be there. So it's good because you are preparing people like Manuela and others who are following us chemi emotinwek cheterchin. Akoi ng'ololchi sigik kora imwochi ilechi mi tuguk che lazima keyai. Kaitikon kora sigik imwochi ilechi moeku cheosubi lagok ak cheosubi akolechi koek icheket chekakoek kamilk eng kao nekilechin kityo yoku rabinik ako strugglen. Akere Mheshimiwa Oscar Sudi, kongoi nye Mheshimiwa, we truly appreciate boisionik cheiyoe. Kongoi amu Mheshimiwa Sudi, chang wanafunzi chekianyoru chemi olimbo Australia, chekialchi tikitit, chekimuchi toret eng Harambee, tuguk cheu choto. We truly appreciate biik cheu akwek amu akweket chomekani a difference eng biik che lagochu kakobwa itoret kakonyo chito ko kimeche kemwoiwo kongoi, kimeche kemwoun kongoi Mishra, kimeche kemwoun kongoi Mheshimiwa Keter ak Mheshimiwa cheomi olo otoretech olo kabi lakwa nemeche kwo sukul otoret oker courses chekororonen che okere ole yome ketoret ni samachelewan anan simamisen boroindo nekakobit. So kongoi nye Mheshimiwa Sudi, chang biik kabisa chekianyoru chelen ndakimako Mheshimiwa Sudi. So whatever you're doing, we truly appreciate and we recognize you kimakun chemiach. Akongoi ing biikab kebeberta nekokweny kora sikobit koteitestai itoretwech biik. Akere Mheshimiwa Jackson Mandago, kongoi kianyoru wanafunzi chechang ing programini chekimuchi itoret ialchi tikitit cheboto alumni. They truly appreciate. Toma kowek nyokolechin kongoi lakini mwoe kongoi eng kebeberwek chemi. Kongoi ing akwek tugul chekakosubech His Excellency notok Mandago, we truly appreciate. Faye Maina, kongoi eng akwek tugul. So all those people are following us. Weshimiwa, asanteni sana kwa kutufuata. So Manuela, mongen ale kainetege ne Sharon eng bani. Siyewendi at least you know how to prepare. So at least lazima imugange ng'ung iwendi olin because mami chi nepkokwang'un, my friend. So yechunda olin kumeutie muganget, so it's not easy as we think. Abwati ale ngelret no kokocham ikwong'chinigei, mongen ale kwang'un ng'o, but yechunda olin ko you have to cook for yourself. So inetkei kabisa ng'oliondo notok. So Manuela, kainetege ne in our sister?
Kongoi missing ambassador. It has been an interesting story. Upon our guest now Sharon Ngetich. Ko kanet ke something we call trusting the process. Direta nenyo ki trustan kabisa after form 4. Ogero ile kipichin si sister nyi ne ko kimuch komuita inendet ako trustan that process. Akuteka hatua from the moment of starting the process of application even up to visa. You see, that is believing in the process and patience also. That's one of the first thing I've learned from our guest today. Also, number 2, you see that like have mental health. Golep Kenya nowadays, if most of the students kumakchinge, yani wanataka vitu ya juu sana, lakini maichin korom sabet rent hapa commit ngalekab fees ya shule people even the standard ne maichin, lakini amungu kobwatutik nguno kobwat the friends living so well ne komeje ko upgrade na lakini kwa yundo nguno you find when somebody is alone is thinking a lot on how to make it in life, komeje ko make also within short period of time, and through a lot of thinking you can also lead to depression. So you need to consult, and the way our guests handled the mental situation mental it's not easy to handle it anyway. Currently in Kenya, one of our leaders, the investigation is still going on, but you see somebody natinye kila kitu lakini at long last quite uje mama ajabu. Kuna youth at least we seek help from others when you are passing through a lot, going a lot digitage, so because kidogo kwa muja la mental, yani suppose you need to talk to others and at least relate other people's stories, and and believe in God also that you'll come over it. Not may take a lot of time, but you may come out of it. And kiboishe kala na gemanda kibois watu wajaenda kulala kule, can see you can have 4 jobs. That means someone can also sleep for 4 to 5 hours so that you can be able to cater for all the needs that are required. The more they say the more you go higher, and kochanga responsibilities. Responsibilities. You see, you need to fuel, you need to pay rent, fees, and also your siblings back in Kenya. You need to handle a lot. And I know most of the youth also, they learn a lot through, it's not only me, but most of the youth, when they get to watch of this story of episode number 69, they will get to learn a lot from our guest Sharon Ngetich. Kongoi balozi.
Kongoi nye Manuela imite kebeberta nebo the City of Champions nota ko Eldoret. Fei Maina kongoi amu koisubech mite kebeberta nebo maana imnyeno Grace Paringetuny following from Eldoret. Kongoi Grace. Cosmas Langat, we really appreciate. Dominic Sang following from Eldoret. DJ Suez Damo komite kebeberta nebo Sydney keledinin kongoi. Ki nebo kamanut ko kale depression is real. Thanks for a good episode. Kongoi nye Suez Damo ako mugo isubech ako kongoi ngoliot anan tuguk chekanetege en Sharon ko nakimwa kele mental health is real akele ngololji ji mekan kityo si umian ko barin kerer metiet ng'ololji chi neimuchi kotoretin. There is help out there. Find out ile miono toretet sikobit ketoretin. Meku chi neiamuani kityo tuguk kityo, but talk to someone. Wakile take time kora, and be a good, and be patient. Meku chito nemeche indoi ng'olyot ng'uny ak expectan akot keswek ngemeche kekol. Kindo keswek ng'uny atya sikany, makoi inde rani karon i-expectan ile kakorut anan ko germinaten. So you have to take time and be patient eng tuguk cheiyoe. And then igilgei, kimwoe kele be real, be yourself and work hard. Kita nekanetege Sharon ko yekaibut ngokaumisanin ki ko abwoti kole kimi station kakonyo kakwo karit kotebi eng yotok akorir korok, lakini mwishoe kobolchi chorwenyo kolechi no, you have to walk. Ng'et iwalken. Ko kingyawaken ko finally koita station konyor railway eng yotok. So it's good to get up and walk. Meku chito neitepche kityo eng ng'uny ngebut kibuti, lakini yebut ak itebi eng ng'uny komatoretin ki. Ko ngwenye swestamu abwoti ale chang tuguk chekityem kiyai alak komawaken, maitebi kora eng yotok. So you go finally you will get to something that will come up akinyoko kanapin iwe barak. Kongoi Queen Ruby Kendagod komite kebeberta noto bo St. Louis. Ki appreciate ni Chelimo Saina kosubet kora. Kongoi nye Chelimo. You found that Sharon was referring to episode 68 a lot because she learned a lot from you, and we will keep learning from each other in tuguk cheucho. Kongoi eng akwek tugul chekobwa Chelimo Saina, chang biik cheko sirwet kole oye kikararan episode notok. Swestamu has been there for 4 months. Not easy. So kinyokotiemge eng olimbo in South Australia in Swestamu kobit ng'olyo mawaken, lakini maitebi eng ng'uny, king'et ak iwe kora akitestai iyai boisionik checham iyoe. Eventually you will get to your goal. So you keep aspiring and working hard eng tukyo tugul. Kongoi eng akwek tugul chekakosubech eng tokwek cheterchin. We truly appreciate you. Eng chepkametinyo notok Sharon kemakun chemyach yeiwendi yoe. We truly wish you the very best, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us. I'm sure so many people will learn from you. Ako ngimeche imuchi isirchi chepkametinyo when you are paddling ng'olyondo neibe mental health, ityem ing'ololji Sharon. She's there to help you, and she will walk you through and help you. She's now an expert in ng'olyondo neibe mental health. She's helping other people. Agere Pastor Kimeto, Joel Kimeto, the artist, kongoi eng kebebertab Kericho. Ako tekemwoe kele oye ongetoret Pastor Kimeto ketekchi noto kilen the studio eng olimbo Kericho. Kongoi eng akwek tugul chekiokonugei ole meche ketoret Pastor Kimeto. So Sharon, at some point in time kemeche by December tun kakiweke gaa ipkeat studio. So talk to us sikiro kele kitoretoi ano Pastor Kimeto the artist siketoret eng ng'olyotab studio nekimeche ketech eng olimbo Kericho. Kongoi eng akwek tugul chekakosubech, kongoi eng chi age tugul. Yeking'etye eng Melbourne, Australia, komangen ale kitokchinigei ano, mara keweke olimbo the City of Champions, Eldoret. Meche kenai kele what is going on eng kebeberata. Kongoi biik chok chekakosubech. Agere Josephine Lang'at, kongoi Cosmas Lang'at, kakosubech bichu kabisa. We truly appreciate all of you. Be blessed. Ngiberuro kimeche kekonin boroindo Sharon imwoiwech ng'alekuk chebo let sikobit ketar tetutiet. Kongoi Osea eng ole imitei, kongoi Engineer Janet, kongoi biik tugul chekiboisiei eng tos Igere Nee Chitab Kalenjin. Kibwotwo kityo akobo Optiven, kibagenge noto bo Nairobi, yemeche iolchigei mbar. Kibwotun kora akobo Tamulife, iye chaikab kokoit chekelen purple tea, mitei green tea, black tea, cho tugul cho komitei inyoru kosubkei ak Tamulife. Akebwotun kora bo Ndonyo Mat. Kongoi eng akwek tugul chekakosubech eng betutab rani. We truly appreciate you. Kimeche kekonin Sharon imwa ng'alekuk chebo let, ng'ololji biik cheisubech, our followers, everybody that has followed us. But we wish you the very best in whatever life will provide for you. We know you're going to do great things for our people, for us, and for everybody. ngobirin Jehova Nee Sharon iwendi tesetai eng sukul ak boisionik che iyoe ngolo ak itokchigei tuguk che kororon che tun koibu borotet eng inye ak achek tugul. Abwatun kityo kogo Neli namitei kebeberta no tun ko graduateni Sharon ko kokosichopkei polepole sikobit inyo olimbo Australia biker Melbourne asibiker tuguk che kororon ole kiwo mochokoreng'ung asikobit ko iboibochi akinye boisiet nekiyai. Kongoi eng boisionik che kiyai mam eng olimbo Eldoret kelechinin kongoi eng boisiet nekiyai eng cheptong'ung. Abwoti ale tun konyone gogo kobwone ak mam. And then maybe your sister, I don't know, but whoever it is, I'm advocating for gogo mising ak mam. So yabwa bichoto ko I will be happy. So tungabwa olotok tunga kitembean akichek Australia will visit Melbourne asikobit ketestai kuno ngemakwok chemie Manuela, Osea ak Engineer Janet. Ngekonin imwa ng'alekuk chebo let Sharon Ngetich.
Kongoi, Ambassador. I believe the best way to manage our thoughts first educating ourselves. It's very important for us to educate ourselves and have a full understanding of what mental health is and the causes and the coping strategies. The stigma cycle around mental health is very powerful at the moment, and I feel like we need to stop. We need to stop suffering in silence and talk about it. And also the people who troll others on social media, that really affects someone's mental health. Let's learn from ourselves before anyone else. It's in us. Let's learn not to troll people. So it starts with us. So when we learn about how to take care about our mental health, let's also protect people's mental health. You go troll someone on social media, you don't really know what this person is going through. So that is one thing we need to stop. And also with our parents, when a girl goes and gets married, can we please not, unajua tunaambiwanga vumilia, unaambia mtoto vumilia tu ni ndoa, but you really don't know the mental health issues that is going on in that family. It's better to have that child come back home than to have that person dying because of mental health. So I would really advise parents to really listen to your kids, even the ones who are small. Recently I saw a kid who died, who killed, alijiua kwa sababu ni mdogo, I think ilikuwa around class 7 ama nini, alijiua. And you really ask yourself, mbona mtoto amejiua? There's a lot of mental health issues that affect kids. Kuna attention deficit disorder that actually affects kids because they don't get the attention that they require from your parents. Kuna hiyo neglect. You neglect your child so much that your child, ama you kuna some conditions that a child has that you have not learnt about it, and then you tend to think mtoto ananisumbua ama huyu nini, so you beat up the child, but you really don't have an understanding of what is really going on in this child. So learn your kids first before administering punishment and everything. Jua mtoto wako akwaje, find out from the teachers mtoto akwaje. If it's something that is something that is persevere, like it's something that is ni kitu anafanya continuously and it's hard to manage, go for medical assessment. Kuna mental health assessments that can be done. Check if your child is okay instead of administering punishment na mtoto anaenda hapa anajiwa. So it's a matter of just educating ourselves and knowing that mental health is real. As much as you go to hospital for physical illness assessment, we also need to go to the doctors for mental health assessment. So I know of many African parents who would take you to a pastor. They're not professionals. Yes, prayer is really good, but pastors are not professionals.
Sharon, ngot kotinye chito mental health ngolobo gaa, let's assume in Eldoret anan ko Kapsabet, wendi kocheng'e chito nekikure ne, mi daktari nebo kikure ne?
So we have counselors, we have counselors, we have family therapists, we have, depending on what you're going through. So we have family therapists, we have counselors, we have
Psychiatrist.
Yeah, we have psychiatrists. We have all that, and I think it's covered with NHIF. If I'm not wrong, I'm not sure, but I think it's covered, especially in if you go to MTRH. So you just need to go to those to go. You can actually go there, talk to your doctor, and ask the doctor if you can see any therapist around. So that's how you're able to be assisted, and then uh let's be a listening ear to everyone. Like, you check up on your friends, your family members. Usikuwe na roho mbaya yenye utaki kuona familia yako inaendeleaje. Check up on them. They don't necessarily have to tell you what they're going through, but hiyo tu kupigia mtu simu na kumwambia unaendeleaje. It's the same thing here. When you're here and someone calls you, you really appreciate, because you're like, oh, actually someone thinks about me. So it's very important to check up on your friends. Listen to them. You don't have to talk or say anything. You don't have to help them financially or anything. It's just hiyo tu kupigiwa simu na kujuliwa hali. How is this person going on? And then with young adults, if your parent anasema hana, kwa kweli nimekuja kulearn that, when we were young, we used to be told, tunaambia mzazi, oh, mami nataka hii, and if they don't give us, we become so upset. Tunaona ni kama wanatunyima. But it's actually when you start growing up and you start being responsible on your own and being independent, you actually learn there's a time you don't have. So if a parent says, aki mtoto wangu sina, learn to actually accept that hawana, and they're really trying to get it. So maybe next time they'll get it for you. So it's a matter of us just accepting that, it's not there. Mommy or dad will work for it, because I know we pressure our parents to provide things that they really don't have. So let's learn to, mzazi akwambia sina hata pesa ya kukupeleka shule, just learn to accept that, and then try and see what you can do. You don't have to just be mean to your parents and not understand your parents. The parents really struggle. They really work hard to see us go wherever we are going or do whatever we are doing. So it's a matter of just doing that. And then the stigma is all around. Let's not cover it up with, oh, you can go to church and pray about it and itaisha. Mental health is a disease. It needs to be cured. As much as you go to church for prayers, let's go to hospital. Let's seek help. Let's not suffer in silence. Let's not belittle mental health and see it as though it's nothing. Mental health is real. Mental health illness is real, and it really has to be dealt with at an earlier stage, before it reaches to that point where you cannot do anything about it. And alcoholism, we have a lot of people who battle alcoholism. Utaona uncle yako labda ameenda kukua alcoholic na hakukua before. That person is going through something. Approach that person, talk to them. Don't just meet up in a gathering or family gathering and say uncle who and who is actually squeezy anakunywa sana or anything. There's something going around. Just go and talk to the person. Find out, is the person okay? And I'm actually looking forward to coming back home and actually really helping the people who are battling mental health. I feel like when you actually go through it is when you understand this person is really suffering. We need to find the root cause of it. So it's a matter of us all coming together as a community and helping the people. Let's not just dwell in, oh, we take this person. We see people who are epileptic and having psychosis, going maniac, and then we think it's just devilic or demonic spirits, and then we rush the person to go to the church to be prayed. No, to be prayed for. Now, not everything is solved by prayer, but yes, prayer is very important. And also those people who want to come here, let's also do not leave God. I think God really is the one person who really helped me go through everything. God, being God, having God in your like, just having God, having an understanding of who God is, and just praying and believing and trusting that God is going to do things is what has really helped me, because I have never left God. I've always been there praying and going to church. And unajua in huku kuna Sunday rate. Sunday rate is a lot of money, but then I make myself available to go to church every Sunday, because I know where God has brought me from and where God is taking me to. So when you come here, learn to put God first in everything. Usiende pesa ukasahau Mungu. Usiende hizo vitu zingine zote ukasahau Mungu. friendship here, be very know who your friends are. Kuna peer influence. You can end up in a wrong group and whatever, and then you end up being deported back home. Learn to keep friends who you know who are actually true and who are there to help you. See wale wenye watakupeleka in one direction that you don't even know. Njo mzazi kitambo ifikie mzazi akole mtoto wangu alienda huko akaharibika. Let's learn to choose our friends wisely, and let's learn to appreciate what God where God has brought us from. And also, don't forget back home, those who are up in diaspora, please, usisahau mali umetoka. Remember to always reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, help out if you can, and just be there for your community. And that's how we actually grow, and that's how we become. And another thing is self-care. Jipende. Unajua, we sometimes forget ourselves, and then we want to help our family members, but then wewe unajisahau. You're also important. So make sure you keep yourself first in everything. Jieke mbele. So your self-care is very important. Your mental health is very important. Seek help when you can, and that's how you're going to just have a stable mental health. And yeah, I don't. If I talk.
Kongwenye Sharon, thank you so much, Sharon. We truly appreciate you. Kongwenga kwek tugul jaga osubech asan kagere geser ngalengyo ko kongwenye asan ko jeb kametinyo understands the language lagin ko meje sako understand and jitugul a lot of youth kongoi Ismail Nicodemus Rono kongoi ko program ni ge cheme ge boishe lugainik che imuchi ielewan Kiingereza, Kiswahili, Kalenjin. You are very confident in it. We truly appreciate. But the most important thing is for people to get the message. That is what we really want people to get in our program. Kongoi inje graduate ni tokol chata ubendio graduate ni kiwe kongoi chebitok na notak nyoru PhD na nying betu tabrani ngolimba South Africa kongoi mrenona nyoru PhD anango nyoru PhD ngolib North Carolina ngoliot agakwek tokol jo ubendio graduate ni. We truly celebrate you and appreciate you. Giwe kwa kongoi ntakwek chomi kagikesu tetutiet nebo betut tabra ko jomi tawa inendet Manuela Kemboi wagimia kosenga kama komite engineer ko kesubet kora on the background kainenyu ko balosi alejinok okoi yekituye eng program agene kagni ngiberuro kongoi.
Igere Nee Chitab Kalenjin ibwatene